family farm, the true tree of the immortal dragon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 451 Preaching. After the transaction was completed, Ye Changsheng received about 96 million high-quality spirit stones. The shopkeeper asked expectantly, "Dao, how many spirit medicines are left in your camp for sale? If the quantity is considerable, our Dadafang is willing to cooperate for a long time and even give a more favorable price." Ye Changsheng smiled slightly and said mysteriously, "The specific quantity is inconvenient to disclose, but I can tell the shopkeeper that it is no less than what we saw today. If Dadafang is really sincere about long-term cooperation, we can sit down and have a good talk." The shopkeeper was overjoyed to hear this and immediately expressed his willingness to further discuss cooperation matters, so the two exchanged contact jade talismans and agreed to have a chance to do a bigger business in the future. In this way, Ye Changsheng not only completed a lucrative transaction, but also opened up a stable source of income for himself and the Ye family. He drove the flying boat back to the camp with satisfaction. After returning to the camp, Ye Changsheng realized that he had not preached to his Zifu and foundation building monks for 7 years. In order not to delay everyone's progress in cultivation, he decided to gather everyone and hold a grand preaching meeting. In the square in the center of the camp, Ye Changsheng sat on a temporary high platform below the stage. Hundreds of purple mansion and foundation building monks gathered together. With solemn expressions and bright eyes, Ye Changsheng looked around and slowly said, "The Tao, seemingly invisible, is actually everywhere. It is the origin of all things in the world, the starting point of life, and the ultimate goal of cultivation." His voice was neither fast nor slow, but it seemed to contain infinite power, and every word hit the depths of the hearts of the monks present. Those who practice Taoism must first understand what Tao is. Tao cannot be described, but it can be understood. It is like flowing water, never stopping, like a mountain. It is immovable, like the wind. It is invisible but everywhere. Ye Changsheng's explanation was simple and easy to understand, and he used simple metaphors to explain the profound truth in a simple and easy to understand way. The monks below the stage were concentrating, afraid of missing any word. The road of cultivation is long and arduous, but as long as you have the Tao in your heart, you can find the direction in the difficult situation. The Tao follows nature, and it is the best to go with the flow while making progress. As the explanation deepened, Ye Changsheng began to expound on a more profound truth. The world has yin and yang, and the human body also has yin and yang. The way of cultivation is actually the process of harmonizing yin and yang, and achieving internal and external balance. His words were like spring rain, subtly influencing every listener. Some cultivators even suddenly realized during the listening process, and their cultivation had a breakthrough progress. The Tao has no end, and the cultivation has no end. Even if you reach the state of transformation, it is just a drop in the ocean. Only by maintaining a humble heart can you go further on the road of cultivation. Ye Changsheng's sermon lasted for 3 hours, but it made the cultivators present feel as if only a moment had passed. When he finally said, "Today's sermon ends here," many people were still immersed in that mysterious state, unable to extricate themselves for a long time. After the sermon, Ye Changsheng did not leave immediately, but patiently answered some questions raised by the monks. Each of his answers was like a revelation, which made the questioner suddenly enlightened. This sermon not only benefited many monks a lot, but also deepened their admiration for Ye Changsheng. In their hearts, Ye Changsheng is not only a powerful monk, but also a wise mentor, guiding them to keep moving forward on the path of cultivation. After the sermon, Ye Changsheng did not stop guiding his disciples. He knew that every monk had his own characteristics and confusions, and needed to teach according to their aptitude. So He decided to answer the difficulties in cultivation for these purple mansion and foundation building monks one by one. In the following days, Ye Changsheng first summoned all the purple mansion monks and asked them to explain the bottlenecks they encountered in their cultivation. Some monks encountered difficulties in condensing the purple mansion, while others felt powerless when mastering some advanced spells. Ye Changsheng listened patiently to the questions of each monk, and then gave suggestions based on their specific situations for those monks who had difficulties in condensing the purple palace. Ye Changsheng explained in detail the principles and process of the formation of the purple palace. He emphasized that condensing the purple palace requires not only powerful spiritual power, but also a deep understanding of oneself. He suggested that these monks pay more attention to their own changes in daily practice, feel the flow of spiritual power in their bodies, and gradually enhance their ability to control themselves at the same time. Ye Changsheng also formulated a special practice plan for these monks according to the characteristics of each person. He recommended the appropriate exercises and elixirs for them, and guided them on how to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth more effectively. He even personally demonstrated some advanced practice techniques, which opened the eyes of these purple palace monks. For monks who had difficulties in mastering advanced spells, Ye Changsheng took another approach. He first analyzed the principles and key points of these spells, and then through actual demonstrations, let the monks understand the use of these spells more intuitively. He also encouraged these monks to practice more and experience the mystery of the spells carefully during practice. Ye Changsheng also emphasized the importance of mentality. He told these monks that it is inevitable to encounter setbacks and difficulties on the road of cultivation, but the key is to maintain a calm mind, not to be impatient, and believe that, as long as you persevere, you will eventually make a breakthrough. After guiding the purple mansion monks, Ye Changsheng turned to the foundation building monks. Compared with the purple mansion monks, the problems of the foundation building monks are more diverse. Some cultivators encountered bottlenecks during the foundation building period, while others were confused when practicing certain basic techniques. For those cultivators who encountered bottlenecks during the foundation building period, Ye Changsheng explained the essence of foundation building in detail. He pointed out that foundation building is not only about improving cultivation, but also about laying a solid foundation for future practice. He suggested that these cultivators pay more attention to the stability of their foundation when practicing, and not to rush for success. Ye Changsheng also demonstrated some special cultivation methods for these foundation building cultivators, which can help them better perceive and utilize the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. He encouraged the cultivators to practice more and experience the fun of practice in practice. For cultivators who encountered confusion when practicing basic techniques, Ye Changsheng adopted a more detailed guidance method. He explained the key points and techniques of these techniques one by one, and personally demonstrated the correct way to practice. He also encouraged these cultivators to learn from each other and improve through communication. During the guidance process, Ye Changsheng found that some cultivators were not very talented, but they were very hard-working. He gave special encouragement to these monks and tailored a suitable training plan for them. He told these monks that diligence can make up for shortcomings on the road of cultivation, and as long as they persevere, they will eventually achieve something. Ye Changsheng's individual guidance lasted for 2 months, and every monk benefited greatly. Chapter 450 To Shinling Stone Workshop. After the instruction, he called all the monks together and made a summary. Fellow Daoists, Ye Changsheng said, in the past few days of communication, I have seen the progress and potential of each of you. The road of cultivation is long and difficult, but as long as there is a way in your heart and a way under your feet, you will eventually achieve something. He looked around at everyone and continued, I hope you can remember that cultivation is not only about improving your realm, but also a process of cultivating your mind and character. While pursuing a higher realm, you should also pay attention to the cultivation of your inner self. Only when you pay equal attention to your mind and character and cultivation can you truly become an excellent cultivator. Ye Changsheng also emphasized the importance of unity and mutual assistance. He encouraged the monks to communicate more in their daily practice, learn from each other, and make progress together. He said, on the road of cultivation, we are both fellow disciples and fellow Daoists. Only by supporting each other and moving forward together can we go further in this world of cultivation full of unknowns. Finally, Ye Changsheng announced the establishment of a regular communication cultivation group. He said, "From today on, we will hold an exchange meeting every month. Everyone can share their cultivation experience at the meeting and also raise their own questions. I will also answer questions and point out the way for everyone at the meeting." This decision immediately received a warm response from all the cultivators. They all said that with such an exchange platform, their cultivation path will definitely be smoother. Before ending his speech, Ye Changsheng also specifically reminded, the road to cultivation is long, and we must maintain a humble and knowledge-seeking attitude. Everything in the world can be a teacher, and everything in the world has its reason. I hope everyone can maintain this thirst for knowledge, continue to explore and make progress on the road of cultivation. As Ye Changsheng's voice fell, this several-day individual guidance finally ended successfully. The cultivators returned to their own cultivation places with full gains and expectations for the future. They knew that under Ye Changsheng's guidance, their cultivation path would be brighter, and Ye Changsheng looked at these young faces full of hope, and his heart was full of comfort. He knew that among these cultivators, there might be future pillars of the cultivation world. He secretly made up his mind to teach all he had learned throughout his life and cultivate more outstanding talents for the cultivation world. In this way, under the careful guidance of Ye Changsheng, the cultivation atmosphere of the Ye family became more intense, and the strength of the cultivators was steadily improving. Ye Changsheng completed the fusion of the world stone in the retreat room. Although there was no obvious change, he was not discouraged. Then, he entered the sacred tree space and successfully gave birth to 20 refreshing fruit trees using 36 refreshing fruits and diluted 4th level fairy dew, harvesting 720 refreshing fruits afterwards. He summoned all the foundation building cultivators, explained to them the exquisite effects of the refreshing fruit, and encouraged them to retreat for a month to experience the improvement of their cultivation. 3 days later, the temporary camp of the Ye family welcomed a large group of visitors. 30 or 40 transport warships were neatly arranged in the air, with a magnificent momentum. A group of purple mansion cultivators walked down from the warships, led by a middle-aged cultivator who looked like a shopkeeper. When he saw Ye Changsheng, he immediately bowed respectfully and said, "Hello senior. We are from Shineling Stone Shop and come to buy spiritual ore from your land. If you have any to sell, we will give you a satisfactory price." Ye Changsheng was slightly stunned. He knew that as the human race opened up new territories in the demon race, business opportunities emerged and caravans opened up new trade routes. So, he smiled and invited these visitors to enter the camp. In the spacious hall in the center of the camp, Ye Changsheng and the monks from Shineling Stone Shop sat down. The hall was decorated in a simple and grand manner. On the wall hung several scrolls depicting the scenery of the cultivation world, adding a bit of elegance. Ye Changsheng took out pieces of spiritual ore from the storage bag and placed them on the table. These spiritual ores flashed with various colors under the light, crystal clear, dazzling. Seeing this, the monks of Shineling Stone Shop showed admiration. The middle-aged shopkeeper in the lead carefully examined each piece of spiritual ore and nodded in praise from time to time. He said to Ye Changsheng, "Senior, these spiritual ores are of excellent quality, especially these few pieces. The spiritual power contained is extremely pure, which is rare." Ye Changsheng smiled slightly and said modestly, "These are all what we have collected here with great effort. If we can sell them at a good price, it will be worthy of our efforts." The middle-aged shopkeeper nodded and then negotiated the price with Ye Changsheng. After some friendly negotiations, the two sides quickly reached an agreement. Shineling Stone Shop was willing to purchase these spiritual ores at a price higher than the market price, and Ye Changsheng was satisfied with this. After the transaction was completed, the monks of Shineling Stone Shop carefully put the spiritual ores into a special storage box and prepared to transport them back to the shop. The middle-aged shopkeeper saluted Ye Changsheng again to express his gratitude and promised that, if there were new spiritual ores, Shineling Stone Shop would be their most reliable partner. After seeing off the monks of Shineling Stone Shop, Ye Changsheng felt relieved. This transaction not only brought considerable benefits to the Ye family, but also laid the foundation for future cooperation. Ye Changsheng led a group of Taoist monks to the location of the blue jade vein. At the entrance of the vein, several foundation building monks were waiting. They saluted Ye Changsheng and then led everyone into the cave. The cave was spacious, and the surrounding rock walls were inlaid with blue crystals, which flashed charmingly under the illumination of spiritual power. Ye Changsheng carefully observed the surroundings, and soon found the traces of blue jade. Those crystals, which are deeper and purer than ordinary sapphires, are the precious blue spirit jade. Everyone, let's act separately. Each person is responsible for an area. Be careful and cautious, and don't destroy the structure of the ore vein. Ye Changsheng gave the order, and the monks immediately dispersed and found suitable locations to start mining. Ye Changsheng came to an area where blue spirit jade was concentrated. He formed a seal with his hands, and a spiritual power barrier formed in front of him to prevent the splash of gravel that might occur during the mining process afterwards. He condensed the spiritual power at his fingertips to form a sharp spiritual power blade. Carefully, Ye Changsheng began to cut along the rock cracks around the blue spirit jade. The spiritual power blade easily penetrated the hard rock like cutting tofu, but encountered great resistance when it came into contact with the blue spirit jade. Ye Changsheng had to increase the output of spiritual power so that he could barely cut the blue spirit jade. As time went on, fine beads of sweat oozed from Ye Changsheng's forehead. Mining blue spirit jade requires not only powerful spiritual power, but also extremely precise control. If you are not careful, the blue jade may break and lose its value. After nearly 2 hours of hard work, Ye Changsheng finally took out a fist-sized piece of blue jade. He carefully put it into a special storage bag and continued to look for the next piece of blue jade. Chapter 453 Langfeng Auction House. Other monks were also busy in their respective areas. Some used fine threads condensed from spiritual power to wrap the blue jade like silk and then slowly pulled it out. Others used special spiritual tools to accurately cut the surrounding rocks and take out the blue jade in one piece. As the mining progressed, the temperature in the mine gradually increased and the air was filled with faint spiritual power fluctuations. Ye Changsheng reminded everyone to take a rest and replenish spiritual power from time to time to avoid excessive consumption affecting mining efficiency. At this moment, a monk suddenly exclaimed. Ye Changsheng rushed over immediately and saw a piece of blue jade as big as a wash basin embedded in the rock wall, emitting an intoxicating blue light. What? A piece of top quality blue jade? Ye Changsheng exclaimed. Everyone come together. Let's work together to take it out. Under Ye Changsheng's command, several monks jointly arranged a complex spiritual power formation to wrap the entire piece of blue jade. Afterwards, they carefully manipulated their spiritual power to separate the blue jade from the rock wall bit by bit. This process lasted for half an hour, and the sweat on everyone's forehead had already soaked their clothes. Finally, with a slight click, the huge blue jade was completely separated from the rock wall. Ye Changsheng personally put the precious blue jade into the storage bag with a gratified smile on his face. The harvest from this mining has far exceeded their expectations. Ye Changsheng returned to the camp with many wives full of joy. The harvest from this mining was rich, and a large amount of 4th grade high quality blue jade ore made them ecstatic. After returning to the camp, Ye Changsheng immediately organized people to conduct preliminary processing and classification of the ore, preparing for future use and trading. One morning 10 days later, the Ye family camp welcomed an uninvited guest. A middle-aged man in a luxurious robe and extraordinary temperament came to the gate of the camp, claiming to be a waiter from Langfeng Auction House. Ye Changsheng personally went out to greet him and invited him into the reception room. I am Li Mingyan, a senior waiter of Langfeng Auction House, and I have come to visit the head of the Ye family. The middle-aged man saluted respectfully. Ye Changsheng smiled and returned the greeting. Waiter Li has come from afar. What can I do for you? Li Mingyan explained. Our Langfeng Auction House is about to open a temporary auction house 5 days away. Considering the influence of the Ye family here, I have come to inform you and hope that the Ye family can come and participate. Oh, Langfeng Auction House. Ye Changsheng's eyes flashed with interest. Can you introduce it in detail? Li Mingyan said proudly. Our Langfeng Auction House is one of the largest auction houses in the cultivation world. This time, we have brought a large number of magic weapons, elixirs, formations and other treasures suitable for fighting against the demons. Whether it is offensive magic weapons or defensive magic weapons, we have everything. In addition, we have also prepared various rare spiritual medicines, and I believe they will definitely meet the needs of the Ye family. After listening, Ye Changsheng fell into deep thought point, although he personally had no shortage of resources. Considering the needs of his family members and subordinates, attending this auction seemed to be a good choice. Okay, we will definitely go. Ye Changsheng agreed with a smile. Li Mingyuan was overjoyed when he heard this and immediately took out a beautiful invitation from his storage bag and handed it to Ye Changsheng respectfully. Then he gave a detailed introduction to the time, location and some precautions of the auction before saying goodbye and leaving. After seeing Li Mingyuan off, Ye Changsheng immediately called a meeting of the core members of the family. He informed everyone about the Langfeng auction house and announced that he would set off for the auction site in 3 days. Everyone, this auction is a rare opportunity. We have been fighting in the Monster Clan forest for more than 7 years, and many supplies need to be replenished. Those who are interested in participating can sign up, and we will organize a team to go. Ye Changsheng said. As soon as the news came out, the entire Ye family camp was boiling. Many people couldn't wait to sign up, especially those Purple Mansion period cultivators, who had a strong demand for higher level magic weapons and elixirs. In the end, a team of more than 100 people signed up to participate. Ye Changsheng personally selected several large flying boats to prepare for the upcoming journey. 3 days later, at dawn, Ye Changsheng led the team to drive the flying boats and headed towards Langfeng auction house. On the flying boat, everyone excitedly discussed the rare treasures they were about to see, and the atmosphere was warm. The 5-day journey passed in a flash. When Ye Changsheng and his party arrived at their destination, the scene in front of them amazed everyone. In a vast open space in the forest, there stood dozens of huge tents, each of which was several stories high, with gorgeous exterior decorations and flashing various colors of spiritual light. Between the tents, there was a flat stone road, and there was an endless stream of monks coming and going. The most eye-catching thing was a main tent in the center that looked like a palace. It was purple and gold in color, and the 5 big characters Langfeng auction house were hung on the top, exuding a palpitating pressure. Ye Changsheng led everyone to the entrance, and immediately a waiter came forward to greet them. Seeing the invitation in Ye Changsheng's hand, the waiter respectfully led them into a luxurious VIP tent. The interior of the tent was spacious and elegantly decorated. A huge round table was placed in the center, surrounded by comfortable cushions. The table was filled with various spiritual fruits and snacks, and maids brought fragrant tea from time to time. Ye Changsheng looked around and found that many monks were already sitting in the tent, some of whom were even old friends he knew. Everyone was very happy to meet each other, and they exchanged their recent situation and the purpose of this trip. Soon after, a middle-aged man in gorgeous clothes walked into the tent and saluted to everyone. "Dear guests, I'm Li Qingming, the general manager of Langfeng auction house. Welcome to our temporary auction house." Li Qingming briefly introduced the process and rules of the auction, and then invited everyone to go to the main tent to attend the opening ceremony. When Ye Changsheng and his party walked into the main tent, the scene in front of them once again amazed them. The inside of the tent turned out to be a huge circular hall that could accommodate thousands of people, and the stacked stands around were already full of monks on the central auction table. A woman in a gorgeous robe was introducing the first treasure to be auctioned. Ye Changsheng led everyone to sit in the VIP area, secretly admiring the strength of Langfeng auction house in his heart. The fact that such a large-scale temporary auction house can be built in the demon forest shows its profound foundation. On the eve of the auction, Ye Changsheng quietly came to the consignment office and signaled to Li Qingming, the manager of Langfeng auction house. Li Qingming understood and immediately led Ye Changsheng to a hidden auction place. "Manager Li, I brought some special treasures this time and would like to ask your bank to auction them on my behalf," Ye Changsheng said mysteriously. Li Qingming's eyes lit up and he asked curiously, "Oh, I wonder what treasures did Brother Ye bring?" Chapter 454, Auction of Spiritual Beasts. Ye Changsheng smiled slightly and took out an exquisite J box from the storage bag. When he opened the box, a strong spiritual energy instantly spread. 72 crystal clear fruits were neatly placed in the box, each emitting a faint colorful light, like a fairy fruit from heaven. Li Qingming's pupils shrank suddenly, and he exclaimed, Is this a Luo fruit, Ye? Changsheng nodded and confirmed, yes, it is the spiritual fruit of the Dao that allows cultivators from the 3rd level to the 4th level, who are Luo fruit. Li Qingming's hands trembled with excitement, and he carefully picked up one and observed it carefully. Oh my god, this kind of ancient lost spiritual fruit can still be seen, and there are 72 of them at once. Fellow Daoist Ye, where did you get so many who are Luo fruits, Ye? Changsheng smiled and said, it was a coincidence. A few days ago, when I was exploring deep in the demon forest, I accidentally found a Luo fruit tree that had already borne fruit. I was really surprised that this long lost 4th level rare spiritual fruit tree could reappear in the world. Li Qingming nodded repeatedly, his eyes full of envy. Fellow Daoist Ye is really lucky. If this batch of Luo fruits is put up for auction, it will definitely cause a sensation. I wonder how fellow Daoist Ye plans to auction it. Ye Changsheng pondered for a moment and said, I want to auction it in several batches, 12 per batch. But the specific details still need to be discussed with your bank. Li Qingming immediately agreed, no problem. I will ask my superiors right away, and I believe I can give fellow Daoist Ye a satisfactory answer soon. In this way, the 72 Luo fruits that Ye Changsheng accidentally obtained will set off a shocking wave at this grand auction. As the auction progressed, the atmosphere in the venue gradually became heated. Although the 2nd level foundation building treasures auctioned in the early stage also attracted the interest of many cultivators, the real highlight was still to come. When the host announced that the auction of the 3rd level purple mansion treasures would begin, the entire auction venue suddenly boiled. Several young disciples of the Ye family, such as Ye Shengs, Ye Changsheng, Ye Shenghao, etc., were very excited and straightened their backs, ready to show their skills. The next auction is a set of 3rd level top grade thunder talismans, a total of 9 pieces, with a starting price of 500,000 spirit stones. The host announced loudly. Ye Sheng's eyes lit up, and he immediately raised his sign and shouted, 600,000, 700,000, another. Cultivator was not to be outdone. The two of them went back and forth, and the price quickly climbed to 2.2 million. In the end, Ye Sheng's won the set of talismans at a price of 2.3 million. Next, several 3rd level magic tools and elixirs were auctioned. Ye Changsheng and Ye Shenghao also took pictures of the treasures they had long admired, with joyful smiles on their faces when the auction reached the 3rd level high quality monster beast. Ye Changsheng remembered that he still had several sons who had just been promoted to the purple mansion period and had not yet been equipped with corresponding spirit beasts. He turned his head to look at Ye Shengfeng, Ye Shengqin, Ye Shengqian, Ye Shengru, Ye Shenglan, Ye Shengtong and Ye Shengyan around him, and said with a smile, each of you choose a 3rd level high quality monster beast for yourself, and I will buy it for you. Hearing their father's words, the 7 boys smiled immediately. They had seen that their brothers had good spirit beasts before, and they had long been envious in their hearts. Now is a time of war, and having a powerful monster beast can indeed greatly enhance one's own strength and safety. Thank you, father, the 7 people said in unison, and then began to pay close attention to the monster beasts on the auction table. Soon, an amazing monster beast appeared on the auction table. It was silver grey in color, with 3 ferocious wolf heads, each with a pair of sharp fangs. What was even more shocking was that it had 6 huge wings on its back, shining with a metallic luster. The host excitedly introduced, dear Taoist friends, this is an extremely rare 6-winged 3-headed wolf. This beast not only has the agility and strength of the wolf clan, but also has the ability to fly. The 3 heads can perform different wolf clan secrets at the same time, and its combat power is extremely amazing. Its 6 wings not only allow it to soar flexibly in the air, but also turn into an indestructible shield in critical moments. This 6-winged 3-headed wolf has reached the top of the 3rd level, with unlimited potential, and it is very likely to break through the 4th level in the future. Hearing This introduction, the monks present exclaimed and talked about it. Ye Changsheng's eyes suddenly lit up. He had always wanted a spiritual beast that could run on land and fly in the air. This 6-winged 3-headed wolf was simply tailor-made for him. The starting price is 5 million spirit stones. As soon as the host's voice fell, Ye Changsheng couldn't wait to raise his placard and shouted, 6 million, 7 million. A monk in a blue robe followed closely. 8 million. Another white-haired old man joined the bidding. Ye Changsheng gritted his teeth and raised his placard again. 9 million. The atmosphere in the venue became tense in an instant, and everyone held their breath and watched this fierce auction. The blue-robed monk was not to be outdone. 10 million. The white-haired old man pondered for a moment and added another million. 11 million. Ye Changsheng looked at his father, and Ye Changsheng nodded slightly, indicating that he should continue. With his father's support, Ye Changsheng's confidence increased greatly. 13 million. The blue-robed monk and the white-haired old man frowned, obviously not expecting their opponents to be so determined. After a brief hesitation, the blue-robed monk raised his placard again. 15 million. The white-haired old man sighed, shook his head, and stopped bidding. Now it was only Ye Changsheng and the blue-robed monk who were left to compete. Ye Changsheng took a deep breath and shouted loudly, 18 million. The blue-robed monk's face became a little ugly, but he still gritted his teeth and said, 20 million. There was an uproar in the venue. I didn't expect the price to soar to this level. Ye Changsheng looked at his father hesitantly. Ye Changsheng patted his shoulder gently and whispered, since you really like it, then take it. Encouraged by his father, Ye Changsheng rekindled his fighting spirit and shouted firmly, 23 million. The blue-robed monk's face was uncertain, and he was obviously engaged in a fierce ideological struggle. In the end, he gritted his teeth and shouted, 25 million. Ye Changsheng did not hesitate at all, and immediately raised his sign, 26 million. The whole audience was silent, and everyone held their breath, waiting for the blue-robed monk's response. However, the blue-robed monk was silent for a long time, and finally shook his head helplessly, and gave up the bid. 26 million for the first time. 26 million for the second time. 26 million for the third time. Deal. Congratulations to this fellow Taoist for successfully bidding on this rare 6-winged 3-headed wolf, the host announced excitedly. Ye Changsheng's face turned red with excitement. He turned around and bowed deeply to his father. Thank you, father. Chapter 455 Black-tailed Fox. Ye Changsheng smiled with relief and said, train it well. I believe this 6-winged 3-headed wolf will become your most capable assistant. Although the other 6 brothers were a little envious, they were also happy for Ye Changsheng. They knew that it was their turn to choose the spirit beast they liked next. Everyone was eager to try and look forward to the powerful monster that belonged to them. The auction continued, and several third-level top-grade monsters appeared one after another. However, although these monsters were powerful, they did not arouse the special interest of the sons of the Ye family. They either shook their heads or discussed quietly, obviously waiting for a more outstanding spirit beast to appear. Just when everyone was a little disappointed, the auctioneer suddenly smiled mysteriously and announced loudly, next, we will auction an extremely rare spirit beast. I believe everyone here will be moved by it. As his voice fell, a fox with a snow-white body and a black-tailed tip stepped gracefully onto the auction table. This fox is more than twice the size of an ordinary fox, with slender and powerful limbs and a vigorous and agile posture. Its eyes are like 2 crystal-clear sapphires, sparkling with wisdom. The most eye-catching thing is its fluffy tail. The tuft of black hair at the tip of the tail is like a finishing touch, forming a sharp contrast with the snow-white hair. There is a faint spiritual energy flowing around the fox, giving people a sense of transcendence. It sits gracefully on the stage, scanning the audience, as if choosing its future owner. This is a black-tailed spirit fox, the auctioneer introduced excitedly. As we all know, the black-tailed spirit fox is the bloodline of the demon beast, second only to the divine beast and the true spirit bloodline. It is one of the 12 top spirit beast bloodlines in the cultivation world. This black-tailed spirit fox is still young, but it has already shown extraordinary talent. I believe it will grow into a powerful spirit beast partner in the future. As Soon as these words came out, the whole audience was boiling. Many cultivators stood up one after another, wanting to see the true appearance of this legendary spirit beast. Ye Changsheng could not look away from the moment the black-tailed spirit fox appeared. He felt that there seemed to be some kind of wonderful connection between him and the spirit fox, and a strong desire surged in his heart. The starting price is 6 million spirit stones. The voice of the auctioneer interrupted Ye Changsheng's thoughts before others could react. Ye Changsheng quickly raised his sign. 7 million, 8 million. A young man in gorgeous clothes immediately followed the price. 9 million. Another old man also joined the bidding. The price soon broke through the 10 million mark. Ye Changsheng gritted his teeth and raised his sign again. 12 million, 13 million. The young man in gorgeous clothes was not willing to be outdone. 15 million. A burly man suddenly joined the battle. The price rose steadily and soon exceeded 20 million. The atmosphere in the venue became more and more tense. Many people had withdrawn from the bidding, but there were still several powerful monks competing fiercely. 23 million. Ye Changsheng raised his sign again, with a hint of nervousness in his voice. 24 million. The young man in gorgeous clothes did not give in. 25 million. The burly man was not to be outdone. Ye Changsheng took a deep breath and looked at her father, Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng nodded slightly and gave her an encouraging look. With her father's support, Ye Changsheng rekindled her fighting spirit. 26 million. She shouted firmly. The young man in gorgeous clothes and the burly man frowned, obviously not expecting their opponents to be so determined. They looked at each other, as if weighing the pros and cons. Just then, the black-tailed fox, which had been silent all the time, suddenly stood up and walked gracefully to the edge of the auction table. Its sapphire-like eyes looked straight at Ye Changsheng, as if conveying some kind of message. Ye Changsheng's heart moved, and she felt inexplicably happy. She mustered up her courage and shouted loudly, 27 million. This price made the whole audience uproar again. The young man in gorgeous clothes and the burly man both showed a hesitant look, obviously reaching their limit. Seeing this, the auctioneer began to count down. 27 million for the first time. 27 million for the second time. Is there anyone else bidding? The whole place was silent, and everyone held their breath, waiting for possible changes. 27 million for the third time. Deal. The auctioneer announced excitedly. Congratulations to this young man for successfully bidding on this rare black-tailed fox. Ye Changsheng's hands trembled slightly with excitement. She turned around and bowed deeply to her father. Thank you, father. Ye Changsheng smiled with relief and said, since you have a connection with this black-tailed fox, then cultivate it well. I believe it will shine in your hands. Although the other brothers were a little envious, they were also happy for Ye Changsheng. They all came forward to congratulate, and the scene was full of joy. The black-tailed fox seemed to feel Ye Changsheng's joy. It jumped off the auction table lightly, walked to Ye Changsheng gracefully, and rubbed his hand with its head. Ye Changsheng squatted down and gently stroked the fox's soft fur, with expectations in his heart. As the auction of the black-tailed fox ended, the atmosphere at the auction site became more and more heated. When everyone was immersed in the afterglow of the fierce bidding just now, a deafening roar suddenly resounded throughout the auction site. A huge six-winged flying lion was seen, being led by several strong men, and slowly walked onto the auction platform. The whole body of this demonic beast is golden yellow, as if it is made of gold. The most striking thing are the 6 wings on its back, each pair slightly different in size and shape. The top pair of wings are like an eagle spreading its wings with plump feathers. The middle pair are like bat wings, as thin as cicada wings. The bottom pair are like dragonfly wings, transparent and tough. The tail of the 6-winged flying lion is forked at the end, looking like a sharp fork. Its amber eyes sparkled with wisdom, as if it could see through people's hearts. This majestic 6-winged flying lion attracted everyone's attention as soon as it appeared, especially Ye Changsheng, the third young master of the Ye family. His eyes were shining, staring closely at the monster on the auction table, and he had secretly made up his mind to take a photo of it. The auctioneer cleared his throat and began to introduce this rare monster. Distinguished guests, what comes next is an extremely rare 6-winged flying lion. This monster is not only extremely powerful and extremely fast, it is also a natural master of air control. Each of its 6 wings has a magical function and can freely change directions in the air. This 6-winged flying lion is still young and has unlimited potential. If it is carefully cultivated, it will definitely become a leader in the future. Monster. The auctioneer's introduction aroused the interest of everyone present, and many people started to make moves. Now, we will use 10 million spirit stones as the starting price, and each increase in price must not be less than 1 million spirit stones. The bidding begins. Chapter 456 Leak Detection. As soon as he finished speaking, Ye Changsheng couldn't wait to raise the sign in his hand. 11 million. However, his bid was soon outbid by others. A middle-aged man in colorful clothes calmly shouted, 15 million. Not to be outdone, Ye Changsheng said, 17 million. The atmosphere on the court became tense instantly, and the price exceeded the 20 million mark in just a few minutes. At this time, the burly man who had been silent suddenly said, 25 million. The magnitude of his price increase made many people gasp. Ye Changsheng gritted his teeth and continued to increase the price. 27 million. The middle-aged man in Chinese clothing seemed unwilling to give up easily and raised his sign again. 30 million. The soaring price made the atmosphere in the auction room even more heated, and many people began to whisper and discuss the true value of this 6-winged flying lion. Ye Changsheng turned to look at his father Ye Changsheng, his eyes full of expectation. Ye Changsheng nodded slightly, indicating that he could continue. With his father's support, Ye Changsheng's confidence doubled. 33 million. The burly man and the middle-aged man in fine clothes looked at each other, as if weighing the pros and cons. A moment later, the burly man raised his sign again. 35 million. Ye Changsheng took a deep breath and calmed down. 37 million. The middle-aged man in fine clothes frowned, but finally raised the sign. 39 million. The price has reached close to 40 million, and many people have begun to withdraw from the competition. The entire auction house's attention was focused on the remaining 3 bidders. Ye Changsheng clenched his fists and shouted loudly, 40 million. Both the burly man and the middle-aged man in fine clothes showed hesitation. Seeing this, the auctioneer started counting down. 40 million is the first time. Does anyone want to increase the bid? At this moment, the burly man suddenly raised his sign. 41 million. Ye Changsheng breathed a long sigh of relief and solemnly raised the sign again. 42 million. This price made the whole audience into an uproar again. The whole place fell into silence again. Everyone was waiting for the final result. The auctioneer looked around and saw that no one was bidding again, so he started counting down. 42 million for the first time. 42 million for the second time. Is there anyone who wants to raise the bid? The burly man looked bitter, obviously unable to fight anymore. Make a deal. The auctioneer announced excitedly. Congratulations to this young man for successfully bidding on this rare 6-winged flying lion. Ye Changsheng was excited and filled with a sense of accomplishment. He turned around and bowed to his father. Thank you very much for your support. Ye Changsheng smiled happily and said, this 6-winged flying lion is destined to you, so cultivate it well. I believe it will become your most powerful partner. Other brothers came forward to congratulate him one after another, and the scene was joyful for a while. The 6-winged flying lion seemed to feel Ye Changsheng's joy and walked gently to him. Lowering his head to show his closeness, Ye Changsheng reached out and stroked the flying lion's head, his heart filled with anticipation and longing. As Ye Changsheng successfully bought the 6-winged flying lion, the auction host announced, dear distinguished guests, the first half of this auction has ended. Please take a rest. We will continue the second half of the auction tomorrow night. Thank you for your enthusiastic participation. There was a lot of discussion in the venue, and people stood up and prepared to leave. Ye Changsheng led everyone in the Ye family slowly out of the auction house and walked towards the tent area prepared for bidders by Langfeng auction house not far away. As night falls, stars adorn the sky. The tent area was brightly lit, and monks from all over the world gathered together in twos and threes to discuss Today's grand auction point. After everyone in the Ye family settled down, Ye Changsheng excitedly talked with his brothers about the future training plan for the six-winged flying lion point. However, Ye Changsheng seemed a little absent-minded. His eyes occasionally glanced at the brightly lit area outside the tent area. There is a temporary trading market for casual cultivators, with about 7 to 8,000 stalls. And it is very lively. Ye Changsheng thought to himself, I'm short of the world stone. So why not take this opportunity to try my luck? Maybe I can find it. Thinking of this, he gently touched the world stone in his arms, which was slightly larger than the mouth of the bowl, and decided to go for a walk. I'm going out to get some fresh air. You guys should go to bed early. Ye Changsheng said to his family, and then quietly left the tent. Walking into the casual cultivator market, Ye Changsheng was shocked by the sight in front of him. Various stalls are lined up in rows, and the sounds of hawking are coming and going. There are those who sell elixirs, those who sell magic weapons, and those who sell all kinds of rare treasures. Colorful lanterns illuminate the entire market like daylight. Ye Changsheng suppressed his inner excitement, pretended to be nonchalant, and slowly walked between the stalls. He carefully inspected the items on each stall, hoping to discover the overlooked world stone. An hour passed, and Ye Changsheng had walked through most of the market, but still didn't find the item he wanted. Just when he was a little discouraged, a stall in the corner caught his attention. The stall owner was a slovenly middle-aged man who looked a little down and out. His stall was filled with miscellaneous items, most of which looked worthless. But Ye Changsheng's eyes were firmly attracted by something. It was a rough stone ball the size of a pebble. Just now the world stone in his arms began to shake. Ye Changsheng's heartbeat suddenly accelerated. Although the surface of the stone ball was rough, his experience told him that it was a world stone. He tried to stay calm, walked to the stall, and asked casually, "Boss, where did you get all these things?" Ye Changsheng asked casually, his fingers gently brushing over the neatly arranged rows of small objects. The sloppy stall owner looked up at Ye Changsheng, grinned, and showed his yellow teeth. "Uncle, these are all good things I have collected over the years. Which one do you like?" Ye Changsheng pretended to be interested in a small bronze tripod, picked it up, and looked at it carefully. "This small tripod is good, finely made, and looks a bit old. Uncle has good eyesight." The middle-aged stall owner immediately became excited. "This is a second-level top magic weapon, at least 300 years old. If you like it, I'll give you a discount. How about 80,000 spirit stones?" Ye Changsheng frowned slightly. 80,000 spirit stones? It's too expensive. This one is worth at most 50,000 spirit stones. "Oh, uncle, you are not an expert." The middle-aged stall owner shook his head repeatedly. "This is a rare antique. How can 50,000 spirit stones be enough? Let's put it this way, since you are an expert, 75,000 spirit stones, no less." Ye Changsheng pretended to hesitate, and picked up a jade pendant to play with. "This jade pendant is also well made. Why don't you sell these two to me at a discount price?" The middle-aged stall owner's eyes lit up. "Okay, uncle, you are really good at choosing. This jade pendant is a top-notch second-grade magic weapon. If you sell both together, 50,000 spirit stones is already very cheap." Chapter 457 New World Stone. Ye Changsheng shook his head and smiled. 50,000 is still too expensive. How about this? 100,000 spirit stones. I want both. The middle-aged stall owner pretended to be embarrassed, but finally nodded in agreement. "Okay, since you have such good vision, 100,000 spirit stones is 100,000 spirit stones." Just when Ye Changsheng was about to pay, he pretended to inadvertently glance at the rough stone ball and the two small objects next to it. He pretended to be curious, pointed at those things and asked, "By the way, boss, what are these things? They look interesting." The middle-aged stall owner looked in the direction of Ye Changsheng's finger and said disapprovingly, "Oh, those are just some worthless little things. I picked up that stone ball in the mountains. It looks interesting. It seems to be not simple and very hard. Those two little things were dug out from a pile of old things. I don't know what they are." Ye Changsheng pretended to ask casually, "Since they are not valuable, why not sell them to me together? Anyway, they take up space here." The middle-aged stall owner rolled his eyes and smiled. Uncle, if you really want them, I will give you a discount. Add up these 3 things and give me another 30,000 spirit stones. That's all. Ye Changsheng pretended to be surprised. 30,000 spirit stones? Too expensive. These are just some worthless trinkets. I'll take them all for 20,000 spirit stones. 20,000 spirit stones. The middle-aged stall owner widened his eyes. Uncle, you want me to lose money? How about this? Since you bought so many things, 25,000 spirit stones. All 3 are yours. Ye Changsheng shook his head. 21,000 spirit stones. No more. The middle-aged stall owner hesitated for a moment and finally nodded in agreement. Okay, 21,000 spirit stones is 21,000 spirit stones. Uncle, you are really good at bargaining. In this way, Ye Changsheng bought the bronze tripod, the jade pendant, the rough stone bowl and 2 small objects for 1,600 spirit stones. He was secretly happy, knowing that he had picked up a big bargain, but his face remained calm. After paying, Ye Changsheng carefully put away everything and said goodbye to the middle-aged stall owner. Thank you, boss. I'll come back another day. The middle-aged stall owner smiled and sent Ye Changsheng away, still feeling proud of his smartness, not knowing that he might have missed a big deal. After Ye Changsheng left the stall, he walked a distance away calmly, then found a hidden corner and couldn't wait to take out the rough stone ball and examine it carefully. A hint of surprise flashed in his eyes because he was sure that this seemingly ordinary stone ball was a world stone of high quality. After Ye Changsheng left the stall, he walked a distance away calmly, then found a hidden corner and couldn't wait to take out the rough stone ball and examine it carefully. A hint of surprise flashed in his eyes because he was sure that this seemingly ordinary stone ball was a world stone of high quality. Ye Changsheng, who was very excited, suppressed his inner joy, pretended to be calm, and walked quickly towards his tent. On the way, he looked around from time to time to make sure no one was following or noticing him. After returning to the tent, Ye Changsheng immediately set up a soundproof barrier to prevent anyone from eavesdropping. He carefully took out the pebble-sized world stone from the storage bag and put it in his palm to examine it carefully. The surface of the stone ball was rough and uneven, showing a grey-brown color, which looked inconspicuous. But Ye Changsheng knew that the real treasures were often hidden in the most inconspicuous places. Taking a deep breath, Ye Changsheng closed his eyes, circulated his spiritual power, and began to use secret methods to explore the inside of this world stone. With the infusion of spiritual power, Ye Changsheng felt as if his consciousness was sucked into a miniature world. Opening his eyes, Ye Changsheng found himself in a barren land. There was no grass growing around, only some scattered rocks scattered on the ground. The sky showed a strange grey color, giving people a feeling of depression. Is this the spiritual world inside the world stone? Ye Changsheng muttered to himself, looking around with some disappointment. He thought there would be some amazing discoveries, but the scene in front of him was mediocre. However, Ye Changsheng quickly adjusted his mentality. He understood that, even if it was a desolate little world, as long as it could continue to expand, there would be unlimited possibilities in the future. Thinking of this, he decided to exit this little world first and continue to explore other possibilities. After returning to the real world, Ye Changsheng took out another world stone he had obtained before. He had an idea and decided to try to fuse the 2 world stones. According to ancient records, world stones can be fused with each other. After fusion, not only will the volume increase, but the spiritual world inside will also expand. Ye Changsheng carefully brought the 2 world stones close together and then operated the secret method to guide them to attract each other. As a faint light flashed, the 2 world stones gradually merged into one. When the light faded, Ye Changsheng was surprised to find that the world stone, which was originally the size of a goose egg, had turned into a sphere that was a circle larger than the mouth of a bowl. Success! Ye Changsheng exclaimed excitedly and couldn't wait to explore this newly formed spiritual world again. This time, when he opened his eyes, the scene in front of him surprised him greatly. The originally desolate little world had expanded to a radius of about 500 feet, and the concentration of spiritual energy had increased significantly, reaching the level of the 3rd level. Ye Changsheng strolled in this new little world, feeling the rich spiritual energy around him. Although there was still no vegetation on the ground, the air was filled with a vibrant atmosphere, as if foreshadowing infinite possibilities. This is finally a significant improvement, Ye Changsheng said to himself. As long as I continue to accumulate world stones, sooner or later I will be able to upgrade this spiritual world to the level of the 4th level upper grade. By then, I can really do a lot. With excitement, Ye Changsheng adjusted his breath in the little world for a while, and absorbed some spiritual energy point. When he felt energetic, he decided to go out again, to look for opportunities. After all, the experience just now made him realize that there were still many treasures waiting for him to discover on the street stalls. Before leaving the tent, Ye Changsheng carefully checked his outfit, to make sure there was nothing unusual point he didn't want to attract attention from others. Because of being too excited back to the market, Ye Changsheng pretended to be an ordinary treasure hunter, and shuttled between the stalls of various casual cultivators. His eyes scanned every item sharply, hoping to find another undervalued treasure point. Hard work pays off. After nearly 2 hours of shopping, Ye Changsheng's eyes were attracted by an inconspicuous stall point. The stall owner was a middle-aged man who looked handsome. There were all kinds of miscellaneous items on the stall. Chapter 458, Obtaining the Fruit of Heavenly Secret. But among these sundries, Ye Changsheng found an oval white fruit. The surface of this fruit is smooth, and a faint yin-yang fish pattern can be vaguely seen. Ye Changsheng's heartbeat suddenly accelerated, because he recognized the true identity of this fruit. Pretending to be careless, Ye Changsheng walked to the stall, pointed at the white fruit and asked, "Boss, what is the name of this white fruit? It looks very special." The stall owner looked up at Ye Changsheng, then looked at the fruit, shook his head and said, I don't know much. It looks like a 2nd level spiritual fruit. I found it in the cave of a high level monster. I don't know what it is used for." Hearing this, Ye Changsheng became more certain of his judgment. He suppressed his excitement, and continued to ask, "Since you don't know what it is used for, why not sell it to me at a lower price? I'm quite interested in this strange fruit." The stall owner rolled his eyes and said, "My fellow Taoist, although I don't know the specific use of this fruit, the things found in the cave of high-level monsters must be extraordinary. How about this? Give me 100,000 spirit stones, and this fruit is yours." Ye Changsheng pretended to be embarrassed and said, 100,000 spirit stones are too much, right? After all, I don't even know the specific effects. So, how about I give you 50,000 spirit stones?" The stall owner frowned and thought for a while, and finally nodded and said, "Okay, since you are sincere in wanting to buy it, I will sell it for 50,000 spirit stones." In this way, Ye Changsheng bought this precious Xianji fruit at the price of 50,000 spirit stones. He carefully put the fruit into the storage bag, and was secretly happy in his heart. He knew that he had picked up a huge leak again. He knew that this was the 4th grade top grade spiritual fruit he had seen in the Golden Light Fortress, the Xianji fruit. The 4th grade top grade spiritual fruit was extremely precious even among the 4th grade top grade spiritual medicines. It is said that after taking this fruit, the cultivators of the Daoting realm can briefly predict the future. Such a treasure will definitely cause a sensation in the world of cultivation. After leaving the stall, Ye Changsheng resisted the urge to carefully examine the Xianji fruit, and pretended to be calm as he continued to stroll in the market. He knew that today's harvest was already amazing enough, and it was time to stop while he was ahead. After returning to the tent, Ye Changsheng set up a soundproof barrier again, and then carefully took out the Xianji fruit, and looked at it carefully. The fruit exuded a faint fragrance, and a trace of spiritual energy could be vaguely seen flowing inside. "I didn't expect to encounter such a precious treasure in such a small place," Ye Changsheng murmured to himself. "It seems that I came to the trade fair this time. It's really right." After putting away the Xianji fruit, Ye Changsheng began to plan the next plan. He decided to stay here for a few days after the auction to see if there would be any more unexpected gains. After all, who knows if treasures like the World Stone and the Heavenly Fruit will appear again. With excitement, Ye Changsheng began to close his eyes and regulate his breathing to digest today's gains. The next night, the auction came as scheduled. Ye Changsheng led everyone to the venue early, and everyone was full of expectations. Everyone in the Ye family knew that there would be more precious treasures at today's auction, and he was ready, hoping to gain something again. The auction kicked off in a warm atmosphere, and this time it was still an auction of 3rd level top grade monsters, as rare monsters were auctioned one by one. The competition in the venue became more and more fierce. Finally, the auctioneer announced the appearance of a heavyweight item, the sacred beast Holy Light Tiger. As the Holy Light Tiger appeared, the entire venue instantly became quiet. It was locked in a huge spiritual cage, emitting dazzling light all over its body. The Holy Light Tiger is a legendary beast with extremely powerful strength and mysterious abilities. Its hair shimmers like golden threads, its limbs are strong and powerful, and its eyes are full of wisdom. It is said that the Holy Light Tiger not only has powerful combat power, but can also release holy light in battle to purify all evil and negative energy. What is even more magical is that the Holy Light Tiger's holy light can also improve the cultivation of the cultivator, allowing it to break through the bottleneck in a short period of time and reach a higher level. Therefore, the Holy Light Tiger has always been regarded as a priceless treasure in the world of cultivation. Ye Changsheng was secretly excited in his heart. He knew that if he could get this Holy Light Tiger, he would not only greatly improve his strength, but also help him at a critical moment. With the support of Ye Changsheng, after a fierce bidding, Ye Changsheng finally bought this beast at a high price of 350 million spirit stones. He watched the Holy Light Tiger being sent to him with satisfaction, and his heart was full of expectations for the future. Then, another heavy item of the auction, the starry sky bird, was also pushed onto the auction table. The star bird is covered with brilliant feathers, shining like the stars in the night sky. When it flaps its wings gently, starlight falls like a dream. The star bird is not only beautiful in appearance, but also amazing in ability. Legend has it that the star bird can shuttle between the stars at a very fast speed, which is almost unmatched by anyone. What's more magical is that the chirping of the star bird can guide the power of the stars, help the cultivators understand the laws of heaven and earth, and improve their understanding. Ye Changsheng was deeply attracted by the magic of the star bird. He knew that if such a spirit beast could become his partner, it would be of great help to his cultivation. After a fierce bidding, also with the help of Ye Changsheng, Ye Changsheng successfully bought the star bird at a price of 400 million spirit stones. His heart was filled with joy, as if he had seen his future with the help of the star bird, where his cultivation would advance by leaps and bounds. Then, the auctioneer announced the appearance of the next heavyweight item, the moonlight deer. When the moonlight deer was pushed onto the auction platform, the entire venue was shrouded in a soft moonlight. The deer was as white as jade, with a faint silver halo on its body, as if condensed from moonlight. Its horns were as transparent as crystal, reflecting colorful light under the light, and the crescent mark on its head was even more radiant. The most magical thing about the moonlight deer is that it can control the power of the moon. According to legend, on every full moon night, the power of the moonlight deer will reach its peak, which can not only heal all injuries, but also purify the soul, allowing the cultivator to concentrate on cultivation. Its tears are even more precious, and it is said that a drop of tears can bring a dying person back to life. Ye Changsheng had long heard of the moonlight deer's name, and seeing its true appearance, he could not help but be fascinated. He knew that if he could get this deer, he would not only be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort in cultivation, but also be able to save his life in times of crisis. After the auctioneer introduced the origin and abilities of the moonlight deer, he began bidding. The starting price was 200 million spirit stones, and it was soon raised to 300 million by various forces. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 459, 9 Heaven's Divine Phoenix. Seeing the price rising steadily, Ye Changsheng looked at Ye Changsheng nervously, and the latter nodded slightly, indicating that he should continue to bid. In the end, with the support of Ye Changsheng, Ye Changsheng bought the moonlight deer at a sky-high price of 380 million spirit stones. However, the most anticipated finale was still to come, the 9 Heaven's Divine Phoenix. When the 9 Heaven's divine phoenix was invited out. The entire auction hall was boiling point. A majestic pressure swept the entire venue in an instant, making the cultivators present feel a palpitation point. Even some powerful people in the Jade Tree stage couldn't help but sit up straight, staring at the auction table with burning eyes. This divine phoenix was fiery red, its feathers were like burning flames, and the phoenix crown on its head was even more golden. Its wings were spread out to a width of 3 feet, and each feather was shining with brilliant light, and its tail feathers were as gorgeous as 9 fire dragons. The most eye-catching thing was its eyes, which seemed to contain the wisdom of the whole world, deep and mysterious. My fellow Taoists, this 9 sky divine phoenix is not an ordinary spirit beast. The auctioneer looked solemn. It is the royal bloodline of the phoenix family, and possesses shocking magical powers. It can not only control fire, but also travel through the 9 heavens and travel 1,000 miles a day. The most amazing thing is that it contains a drop of real phoenix blood in its body. If it can be refined, it can not only make the cultivator's physique have a qualitative leap, but also awaken the legendary phoenix bloodline. As soon as these words came out, there was a burst of exclamations in the venue. Even some major forces that originally planned to wait and see showed an interested look. Ye Changsheng was sitting in the VIP seat. The moment he saw the 9 sky divine phoenix, he was impressed by its majesty. As the most talented cultivator among the younger generation of the Ye family, he knew the importance of this divine phoenix to him. At this moment, a cold gaze shot from the opposite side. Ye Changsheng turned his head and saw the man in the purple gold robe looking at him with a sneer. The man's name was Ye Changsheng, the young master of the Xianling sect, a 5th level immortal sect, who was always arrogant. 300 million spirit stones. A cultivator in a blue robe spoke first. 400 million. Another white-haired old man followed closely. 500 million. Ye Changsheng quoted a higher price at the signal of Ye Changsheng. 600 million. Ye Changsheng sneered and raised the price. With a hint of provocation in his eyes, the price soon exceeded 700 million, and the scene was once heated. Ye Changsheng's forehead was sweating. Even with the support of Ye Changsheng, this price was far beyond expectations. He knew that Ye Changsheng was deliberately raising the price to exhaust the resources of the Ye family. At this moment, an accident happened. The 9 heavens divine phoenix suddenly made a clear cry and looked at Ye Changsheng with burning eyes. The cultivators present all felt a strange resonance, as if the divine phoenix had some special induction to Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng's face changed, and he immediately realized that the situation was not good. He was afraid that after the 9 heavens divine phoenix and Ye Changsheng resonated, it would be even more difficult for him to obtain this coveted beast. 800 million. Ye Changsheng gritted his teeth and raised the price with a hint of ruthlessness in his tone. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng gently patted Ye Changsheng on the shoulder, signaling him not to be anxious. After waiting for a few breaths, Ye Changsheng shouted in a deep voice, 900 million. As soon as this price came out, the entire auction hall suddenly became quiet. 900 million spirit stones. This is already an astronomical figure. Even the big forces dare not easily take out such a huge fortune. Ye Changsheng's face was uncertain, and a trace of unwillingness flashed in his eyes. He knew that if he raised the price again, even if he got the 9 heavens divine phoenix, his foundation in the Xianling sect would be shaken. In the end, he chose to give up. 900 million once, 900 million twice, 900 million 3 times. Deal. The auctioneer announced excitedly. At this moment, Ye Changsheng suddenly stood up and said in a cold voice, Ye Changsheng, you'd better pray that you can keep an eye on this divine phoenix. Otherwise, if something happens to it, it will be hard to say. Ye Changsheng was about to refute, but Ye Changsheng stopped him and said lightly, young master Zio, don't say anything nonsense. If something really happens to the 9 heavens divine phoenix, the first place my Ye family will look for is the Xianling sect. Zio. Ye Changsheng snorted coldly and left the auction house with his men. When Ye Changsheng finally approached the 9 heavens divine phoenix, this noble beast took the initiative to lower its head and looked at him with gentle eyes. A mysterious breath flowed between the two, as if there was a will of heaven in the dark. From now on, you are my master. The Voice of the Nine Heavens Divine Phoenix sounded directly in Ye Changsheng's mind. Crisp and pleasant. Ye Changsheng was shocked. He didn't expect that this divine phoenix could actually communicate with people's consciousness. He was about to respond, but heard the divine phoenix continue to say, I feel your noble qualifications, Holy Spirit root. No wonder you resonate with me. Looking at the eyes full of wisdom of the divine phoenix, Ye Changsheng's heart was full of expectations and longings for the future. He vaguely felt that getting this nine heavens divine phoenix might not be as simple as his father's abundant spiritual stones, but there was a destiny in the dark. Ye Changsheng looked at this scene, and a trace of pride flashed in his eyes. He knew that his precious son was indeed extraordinary, with a rare Holy Spirit root qualification in the world, and he deserved to have this amazing beast. In addition to his own resources, the future of his genius son was destined to be extraordinary. With the successful auction of the Nine Heavens Divine Phoenix, the atmosphere of the entire auction venue was slightly dull. However, when the 4th level auction items appeared one after another, the atmosphere on the scene became active again. The first one to appear was a 4th level defensive magic weapon Zuanshan shield, which was dark in ink and engraved with complex runes. The auctioneer said that this shield could withstand the full force of a 4th level peak cultivator without breaking. After fierce bidding, it was finally sold for 3.8 million high-grade spirit stones. For ease of understanding, the following is changed to high-grade spirit stones. Then there was a set of 4th level formations for symbols locking heaven formation, which consisted of 4 formation plates. After the formation was set up, it could trap a 4th level mid-stage cultivator for up to an hour. This formation attracted the interest of many forces, and was eventually bought by a mysterious man in black for 4.2 million high-grade spirit stones. Then, several rare 4th grade elixirs and magic tools were put on the stage, all priced at more than 1 million high-grade spirit stones. The bidding on the scene was lively. Finally, the auction came to the part that Ye Changsheng was most looking forward to, the auction of 72 4th grade low-grade spirit fruits. Who are low fruits? This batch of spirit fruits was divided into 6 groups, with 12 fruits in each group for auction. When the first group of Who are low fruits was brought to the auction table, Ye Changsheng unconsciously raised a smile at the corner of his mouth. These crystal clear fruits exuded a faint fragrance, and each one was plump and round, with excellent appearance. Chapter 460 Robbery and Murder. This is one of the highlights of this auction. The auctioneer raised his voice and said, Huareluo fruit is a spiritual fruit that helps cultivators break through from Zifu to Daoting. It has been extinct for nearly 1,000 years. This time it was rediscovered in the monster forest, which is good news for everyone. The most important thing is that its effect in helping cultivators break through to the 4th level is at least 3 times higher than Daoting Dan. Moreover, due to the limitation of medicinal materials, Daoting Dan is hard to find, which makes Huareluo fruit even more precious. It is a rare spiritual fruit that everyone must not miss. This set of 12 Huareluo fruits, the starting price is 2 million high quality spiritual stones, and each bid must not be less than 100,000. As soon as the voice fell, someone raised a sign, 2.5 million, 2.6 million, 2.7 million. The price quickly broke through the 3 million mark. Ye Changsheng looked at the cultivators competing to bid below the stage, and was secretly proud in his heart. These Huareluo fruits were produced by him in a short period of time using the 4th level fairy dew, just for this auction. Although the process was hard, looking at the current scene, everything is worth it. 4 million. A middle-aged monk in brocade robes shouted in a deep voice. The scene was quiet for a while, but soon someone raised the price again, 4,200,000. The price kept rising, and finally the first group of Hualuo fruit was sold for 4.5 million high-grade spirit stones. This price far exceeded Ye Changsheng's expectations, and he was filled with ecstasy. The bidding for the next few groups was even more intense. The second group reached 4.5 million, and the third group broke through 4.5 million. When it came to the 4th group, the price rushed to 5 million in one fell swoop. Ye Changsheng watched the spirit fruit he cultivated break the price record again and again, and the sense of accomplishment in his heart was beyond words. The joy on his face could no longer be suppressed. The bidding for the last two groups reached a climax. The fifth group was finally sold at a price of $5.5 million after many parties competed. And the sixth group, the finale, was finally sold at an astonishing sky-high price of $6 million high-grade spirit stones after nearly 100 rounds of fierce bidding. When the transaction price of the last group of Hualuo fruit was finalized, a trace of relief flashed in Ye Changsheng's eyes. This batch of spiritual fruits brought the Ye family a total of more than 3.3 billion spiritual stones, which could fully make up for the expenses of purchasing monsters such as the Nine Heavens Divine Phoenix, and there would be a lot of surplus. Looking at the cultivators who were still unsatisfied in the audience, Ye Changsheng secretly calculated in his heart that he would increase the cultivation of Hualuo fruit after returning. This auction not only made him see the huge potential of the spiritual fruit market, but also strengthened his determination to make the Ye family the first family in the cultivation of spiritual plants in Longnan Xiuxin world. After the auction, Ye Changsheng felt uneasy. It was indeed too high profile to buy so many beasts at one time. In order to avoid complications, he immediately led the Ye family to the backstage of Langfeng auction house and quickly handled the delivery procedures. "We will set off and return immediately," Ye Changsheng ordered in a deep voice. Everyone left the auction house and rushed towards the temporary camp point. When they were about 500 or 600 miles away, Ye Changsheng suddenly noticed something strange. Dozens of black shadows surrounded them from all directions like ghosts. These people were covered in special black invisible clothes, and even their spiritual consciousness could not detect them. Before Ye Changsheng could ask, the other party took the lead in launching a fierce attack. Various colors of light flashed, and spiritual arts flew across. Ye Changsheng looked closely and couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. The leader of the other party was a 5th level Jade Tree Realm Master, and the more than 20 people behind him were all 4th level Dao Court Realm cultivators. Form a formation. At Ye Changsheng's command, the Ye family quickly formed a defensive formation. But the gap in strength was too big, and they showed signs of decline after a few rounds. At the critical moment, Ye Changsheng slapped his storage bag and sacrificed the 5th level top grade dragon puppet he bought in the Heavenly Palace. I saw a golden light rising into the sky, and a huge dragon puppet hundreds of feet long flew out of the air. The whole body of this dragon puppet was golden, and its scales were like cast steel, each of which was flashing with mysterious runes. The dragon head was raised high, its eyes were like lightning, and its fangs were sharp. Its foreclaws were like hooks, extremely sharp. The dragon tail was flexible and free, like a spirit snake. The whole puppet exuded a vast pressure, as if a real dragon had descended to the world, which was terrifying. Ye Changsheng's mind was connected to the dragon puppet, and he controlled it to pounce on the Yashu Realm robbery cultivator. At the same time, he sacrificed 28 Daoting Realm 3-legged fire crows, and laid out the 28 constellations formation to trap the rest of the robbery cultivators. The battle between the dragon puppet and the Yashu Realm robbery cultivator broke out instantly. Although the robbery cultivator was not as strong as the puppet, his body movements were strange and flexible, and he moved around in the air without confronting the puppet head on. Ye Changsheng sneered and urged the dragon puppet to perform the 9 spiritual arts. A column of blazing fire spurted out of the mouth of the golden dragon, burning the air into a sea of fire. The GXIU dodged, but saw the dragon's tail sweeping over, wrapped in a sharp sword energy. GXIU hastily responded, offering a black iron shield, barely blocking the sword energy. But the Shenlong puppet continued to attack, and a ball of thunder condensed in the dragon claws, blasting down on the head of GXIU. Boom! With a loud bang, the thunderball exploded, and lightning flashed everywhere. Although GXIU avoided the vital points, his robes were blown to shreds. He shouted angrily, offered a green longsword, and displayed the unique sword skills of Yashu Realm. However, the Shenlong puppet did not show weakness, and the dragon body circled, drawing a Teikai pattern in the air. The Taki of Yin and Yang flowed and formed a powerful strangulation force. GXIU's sword energy was completely crushed, and his whole body was trapped in the vortex of airflow. At this moment, the dragon puppet suddenly opened its mouth and spat out a water attributed ice bead. GXIU was dealing with the Takai vortex and was hit by an ice bead off guard. In an instant, his whole body was sealed by ice and he could not move. Ye Changsheng seized the opportunity and controlled the dragon puppet to deliver the strongest blow. I saw the runes around the golden dragon skyrocketing, and the power of 9 attributes condensed at the dragon's mouth, turning into a thick beam of light and blasting towards GXIU. No, GXIU let out a desperate roar, but it was too late. The beam of light penetrated the ice and blasted him into pieces. A generation of strong men in the Yashu realm died just like that. While the Shenlong puppet was fighting fiercely with the Yashu realm robbery cultivators, the 28 three-legged far crows had already started a fierce fight with the other Daoting realm robbery cultivators. The far crows circled and danced in the sky, forming an array of 28 stars, forming a field of blazing fire. With the blessing of the formation, each far crow exudes the aura of the 4th level peak. Its feathers are burning with blue spiritual flames, and its 3 legs are wrapped with mysterious runes. Formation. Several robbery cultivators shouted and tried to use formations to fight against the far crow. But the far crow formation was mysterious, and the power of the stars flowed, instantly dispersing their formation. A robbery cultivator sacrificed a water magic weapon to restrain the fire crow, but saw that the blue flame spurted from the fire crow's mouth directly evaporated the water flow. Chapter 461. Total Annihilation. Another 3 robbery cultivators jointly set up a defensive barrier, but they were hit by 7 fire crows at the same time, and the barrier shattered. Bang. With a loud bang, 2 robbery cultivators were hit by the fire crows and seriously injured. Before they could stabilize their bodies, several fire crows swooped down, tearing their protective aura with their sharp claws, and killing them on the spot. Seeing their companions die tragically, the other robbery cultivators became even more panicked. Some people wanted to break through, but were trapped by the star formation formed by the far crows. The far crows cooperated tacitly, either spewing spiritual flames, or tearing with their sharp claws, or trampling with 3 legs. Each move was fatal. In a short moment, 5 robbery cultivators in the Daoting realm had fallen. Although the remaining people were not weak in strength, they were defeated and embarrassed under the siege of 28 fire crows. At this time, the news that the robbery cultivator in the Yashu realm was killed by the Shenlong puppet came, which caused the remaining robbery cultivators to be in chaos. The leader is dead. Retreat quickly, someone shouted. However, it was too late. Ye Changsheng had already controlled the dragon puppet to join the battlefield. The golden dragon raised its head and roared, and the 9 spiritual arts were launched at the same time. Suddenly, thunder flashed in the sky and flames rolled. Boom. A robbery cultivator was hit by thunder, and before he could recover, 3 far crows tore him into pieces. Seeing that the situation was not good, several robbery cultivators wanted to detonate their entire spiritual power and die together. Ye Changsheng sneered and controlled the dragon puppet to open its mouth and spit out a beam of ice, freezing them instantly. Want to die? Not that easy. Ye Changsheng shouted in a low voice, and the dragon puppet swept its tail and smashed several ice sculptures. 2 stronger robbery cultivators wanted to escape in the chaos, but the fire crows were well prepared and immediately laid a fire net on their escape route. The dragon puppet followed closely behind, and a ball of 5 elements spiritual power condensed in its dragon claws. Want to leave? Ye Changsheng snorted coldly and urged the puppet to sacrifice the strongest magical power. The spiritual arts turned into 2 streams of light, accurately hitting the 2 fleeing robbery cultivators. They didn't even have time to scream, and were completely annihilated by the attack containing the power of the 5 element. The last few robbery cultivators had completely lost their fighting spirit, and soon died under the attack of the far crowan. The dragon puppet. After the battle, Ye Changsheng looked around the battlefield. The bodies of more than 20 robbery cultivators in the Dao Court realm were scattered everywhere. Some were burned to ashes, some were torn into pieces, and some were frozen and shattered. This battle was a great victory. In this battle, the dragon puppet showed amazing strength. Not only was it powerful, but its moves were varied. with the 9 series of Taoist darts. It was really a powerful fighting force that was invincible. Ye Changsheng was also secretly glad in his heart. Fortunately, he had spent a lot of money to buy this puppet in the Heavenly Palace. Otherwise it would be difficult to resolve this crisis today. After the battle, Ye Changsheng immediately ordered everyone to start cleaning the battlefield. More than 20 bodies of robbers were scattered within a radius of several miles. Some were burned beyond recognition by the flames, some were crushed into slag by the ice, and some were torn into pieces by the fire crows. Search carefully and don't miss any details. Ye Changsheng ordered. Soon, everyone collected more than a dozen intact storage bags. These storage bags were sealed by the robbers with special spiritual power, and it was difficult to open them for a while. Ye Changsheng squatted down and carefully examined the faces of these corpses, trying to find some clues from them to determine the origins of these robbers. However, when he looked closer, he found that the faces of these corpses looked a little unnatural. After careful sensing, Ye Changsheng noticed a faint fluctuation of spiritual power. This was a trace of the disguise spirit technique. As expected, Ye Changsheng sneered. This is a common method used by robbers. They change their appearance during life, so that they will not reveal their identity after death. It seems that this group of people are indeed professional robbers. In order not to leave any traces, Ye Changsheng immediately performed fire magic and burned all the bodies completely. He then put away the dozen storage bags and led everyone to leave the battlefield quickly. In the next 5 days, the group did not dare to slack off and rushed at full speed. Finally, at dusk on the 5th day, the outline of the Ye family's temporary camp appeared in sight. After settling everyone, Ye Changsheng returned to the retreat room alone and began to crack the seals of these storage bags. These seals are quite tricky, and each one requires a lot of time and spiritual power to unlock. When the seal of the last storage bag was cracked, more than half an hour had passed. However, when Ye Changsheng checked the items in the storage bag, he couldn't help frowning. Most of these storage bags only have some simple daily necessities, such as dry food, tents, etc. In some storage bags, there are 1 or 2 4th level magic weapons, as well as some strange elixirs, including the blood blasting elixir, that can burst out combat power in critical moments. These robbers are indeed cautious enough. Ye Changsheng shook his head and sighed. They had already moved all the valuables before going out to commit crimes. Obviously, they were well prepared. After putting these items away again, Ye Changsheng decided to find an opportunity to sell them on the black market in the future. Although the harvest was not as expected, these things could be exchanged for some spiritual stones. More importantly, this time they successfully repelled the attack of the robbers and kept the Ye family safe, which was the biggest harvest. Ye Changsheng was about to get up and rest when he suddenly found that there seemed to be something hidden in the outer interlayer of a storage bag. Ye Changsheng carefully checked the outer layer of the storage bag and indeed found a hidden interlayer. He carefully tore open the interlayer and took out a palm-sized storage bag from it. The seal of this storage bag is much more complicated than the previous ones, and it is obviously used to store important items. It took nearly a quarter of an hour for Ye Changsheng to finally break the seal. An exquisite jade box appeared in his hand. The jade box was crystal clear and engraved with complicated runes. This is a good thing, Ye Changsheng whispered to himself, and then opened the jade box. A royal blue oval fruit lay quietly in the jade box, emitting a faint spiritual fluctuation. Ye Changsheng's eyes lit up, and he immediately found the information of this spiritual fruit from his memory. Baoiu fruit. This is a 2nd level top spiritual fruit that has been extinct for many years. Ye Changsheng was pleasantly surprised. Taking one can improve the cultivation of a 2nd level cultivator or a demon beast by 1 level. Although it can only be taken once, this effect is precious enough. Ye Changsheng couldn't help wondering why the robbery cultivator hid this ancient spiritual fruit so secretly. But now it's not important. What's important is how to make good use of this unexpected surprise. With a thought, Ye Changsheng entered the god tree space. He took out a drop of 4th level fairy dew, diluted it, and carefully dripped it on the precious jade fruit. Under the powerful growth promoting ability of the god tree space, or 3-meter tall precious jade fruit tree quickly rose from the ground. Ye Changsheng counted carefully, and there were 72 precious jade fruits on the tree. Chapter 462 Spirit Stone Mine. He picked 10 more to induce birth, and each time he got 72 point. After repeating this process, he finally harvested a total of 720 precious jade fruits. Early the next morning, Ye Changsheng summoned all the foundation building monks in his family point. Looking at the hundreds of clan members kneeling neatly below, Ye Changsheng felt quite satisfied. Fellow clan members, I'm deeply gratified by your hard work for the clan. Today, I will give each of you a precious jade fruit. After taking it, you can improve your cultivation by 1 level. Ye Changsheng announced. Everyone was overjoyed when they heard this and thanked the patriarch for his kindness. Ye Changsheng ordered them to practice in seclusion immediately. 3 days later, when everyone broke through one after another, Ye Changsheng summoned everyone again. This reward is also to tell everyone a truth. Ye Changsheng looked around at everyone. As long as you work hard for the family and report any opportunities in time, the family and I will definitely reward you heavily. For example, the 2 clan members who discovered the mysterious opportunity last time. Today the clan leader gave each of them a purple Fujiuo. As soon as this statement came out, the whole place was in an uproar. The purple mansion fruit is a precious spiritual fruit that can help monks break through the purple mansion realm, and is priceless. The 2 tribesmen who received the gift were so excited that they knelt down and cried bitterly. Others also expressed their opinions that they would work harder to serve the family. Of course, for safety reasons, Ye Changsheng had used secret techniques to erase the relevant memories of these 2 foundation building monks. Others who searched for souls could only find the deeds of these 2 monks who donated some kind of high level elixir. Looking at the backs of everyone leaving, Ye Changsheng nodded secretly. Although he had invested a lot in his family before, the secret space stone bead he obtained through his clansmen had already allowed him to recoup his capital and make a lot of money. This is the advantage of having loyal clan members. If the guest minister of Z Mansion finds out about such an opportunity, he may not report it to the family at all. It seems that my previous decision to invest heavily in the family was right. Ye Changsheng thought with satisfaction. This investment will be worth it after all. Now that he had enough time, Ye Changsheng decided not to let go of the rich mineral resources contained in this monster forest. He immediately summoned all the family foundation building monks, divided them into several teams of 10, and began to explore the surrounding areas for high-level spiritual gold veins and spiritual stone veins. In order to ensure the safety of his tribe, Ye Changsheng formulated a strict action plan. If you encounter a 3rd level monster that you are unable to deal with, you can immediately return to request support. He will mobilize 20 top level 3rd level warships to eliminate them. If a 4th order monster is encountered, 4 high grade 4th order battleships will be dispatched to suppress it. At the same time, Ye Changsheng did not idle away his 13 sons. Each person was equipped with 2 Daoting level fire crows as life-saving trump cards and 80 Zifu level fire crows as the main combat force, and began to independently clear the area of 3rd level monsters and search for various opportunities. As for those guests from the Purple Mansion, they were organized into teams of 20 people to eliminate 3rd level monsters in specific areas in a planned manner. After 2 months of searching, good news finally came. A team of foundation building monks discovered a medium grade spiritual stone vein in a mountain depression. Ye Changsheng was ecstatic after hearing this. He immediately summoned 9 ladies from the Taoist realm and rushed to the scene with great interest. This mineral vein is located in a hidden mountain col, and there is a 3rd level spiritual land next to it. This place was originally the territory of a group of ice rabbit demons, but a few days ago they were all wiped out by the Yi family's 3rd level high grade battleships arriving at the entrance of the mine. Ye Changsheng inspected it carefully and found that the quality of this vein was quite good. He decided to personally lead the 9 ladies to mine the most precious high-grade spiritual stones, while leaving the middle and low-grade spiritual stones to the foundation building monks in the clan. Husband, look at this rough stone. It is crystal clear and full of spiritual energy. It must be the best of the best. Shen Yu Feng excitedly pointed to a huge piece of raw spiritual stone ore and said. Ye Changsheng nodded in agreement. Yes, a rough stone of this quality can produce at least 8,000 high-grade spiritual stones after polishing. Madams, please be careful not to damage it. The 9 ladies each used their own methods, either cutting them with magical tools or apping them with spiritual power, to carefully mine these precious rough stones. Whenever a piece of particularly good quality is discovered, there is a cheer. There is another branch here, Liu. Ruyan suddenly shouted in surprise. The concentration of spiritual energy is higher than the main vein. Ye Changsheng immediately went over to check, and sure enough he found a purer spirit stone vein. He immediately decided, I will mine this branch myself, and you ladies will continue to be responsible for the main vein. In this way, Ye Changsheng and his family were happily mining the mineral veins, and from time to time they could hear the cheerful chatter and laughter of the foundation building monks coming from outside. Time passed quickly, and the day's mining was over. This day's harvest is enough to take the entire Ye family's strength to a high level. Looking at the piles of high grade raw or spiritual stones, Ye Changsheng thought in his mind, if all these raw ores were polished into spiritual stones, there would probably be hundreds of thousands of them. This wealth is enough to support the family to a high level. The next day, Ye Changsheng took 9 Daotingjing ladies to the depths of the mine and continued the mining work. Each lady wears protective robes and holds special mining tools, which are distributed in different areas in an orderly manner. Husband, the quality of this vein is truly rare. Murang King said in surprise, I just checked and found that the concentration of spiritual energy in this area is 30% higher than that of ordinary high-grade spiritual stone mines. Ye Changsheng nodded in agreement. Indeed, this mining area should have been formed in ancient times. After a long period of accumulation, the spiritual energy has condensed to be extremely pure. So, Yurao suddenly transmitted, husband, I found a particularly large piece of raw ore here, and I need you to take a look. Ye Changsheng immediately rushed over and saw a crystal raw stone as big as a human head embedded in the rock wall, emitting a faint spiritual light. After a careful inspection, a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. This raw stone is of excellent quality. If it is carefully polished, it can produce at least 3,000 top-grade spiritual stones. Chu Yunayan also made a new discovery. Husband, I seem to have found a branch vein here, and the spiritual energy fluctuations are extraordinary. In this way, the 9 wives showed their strengths, either responsible for mining, or exploring the direction of the vein, or collecting and sorting the mined raw stones. Ye Changsheng patrolled back and forth everywhere, and gave guidance at any time. Suddenly, Hua Jiao exclaimed, oh my god. This is a top-grade spiritual stone ore. Everyone's eyes were attracted. Hua Jiao was holding a fist-sized rough stone in her hand. It was crystal clear and had a faint colorful halo flowing inside. But Ye Changsheng was overjoyed. Raw stones of this quality will definitely produce top-grade spiritual stones after polishing. Although the number will not be too large, probably hundreds of pieces, but each one is priceless. Chapter 463 Ye Shengaiyu attacks. Although top-grade spiritual stones often appear in a super spiritual stone veins or high-grade spiritual stone veins, this medium-grade spiritual stone vein is particularly rich in content. It is not uncommon for such top-grade spiritual stones to appear in this vein, but it is relatively rare. Zukinkson smiled and said, it seems that I'm really lucky today. The harvest of this mining area is far beyond expectations. Lin Zero added, yes, with these spiritual stones, we can purchase more cultivation resources for the children of the family. Ye Changsheng looked at the scene of the tacit cooperation of the ladies and felt warm in his heart. Over the years, they have not only respected each other, but also helped each other in family affairs. With their support, the development of the Ye family can be so smooth. Thank you ladies for your hard work today. Ye Changsheng said sincerely, when I go back, I will ask the kitchen to prepare a table of rich spiritual meals to reward everyone. Hearing this, the ladies all showed happy smiles on their faces. While Ye Changsheng was leading his wives to work in the spiritual stone mine, Ye Shengaiyu was leading his 3-legged fire crow army to patrol the nearby mountains and forests. Recently, because of the large-scale entry of major business groups into the monster forest, the small shop that Ye Changsheng opened in the Alliance Station has no business. Ye Changsheng then asked Ye Shengaiyu to hand over the business to the hired casual cultivators, and then transferred Ye Shengaiyu back. Suddenly, or 3-legged fire crow on a reconnaissance mission cried quickly, which attracted Ye Changsheng's attention. He immediately commanded other fire crows to take off and check, and soon found a surprising target. 8 huge 3rd level high quality deer monsters foraging in the valley. These deer monsters are snow white, with a pair of golden forked horns on their foreheads, and each horn is wrapped with a faint golden aura. Ye Changsheng's eyes lit up. He knew that the horns of this deer monster were important materials for refining gathering spirit pills, and their deer tendons were also rare materials for refining tools, which could be used to make high quality bowstrings, and fresh deer monster blood was also an important material for refining pills. In order not to alarm this group of precious prey, Ye Changsheng quickly formulated a thorough encirclement plan. He divided the 80 three-legged fire crows into 4 teams. 20 were responsible for blocking the retreat from the air, another 20 were ambushed at the valley entrance to cut off the retreat, and the remaining 40 were divided into 2 groups, ready to attack from both sides under Ye Changsheng's precise command. The 3-legged fire crows took their positions silently. When everything was ready, he cast a communication talisman, and all the fire crows attacked at the same time. The sky was suddenly filled with flames, and countless fireballs rained down on the deer monster group. Although these 3rd level deer monsters were powerful, they were immediately in chaos when faced with the siege of a large number of 3-legged fire crows. They tried to break out of the encirclement, but found that all the retreat routes were blocked. Ye Changsheng specifically told the fire crows to control the temperature of the flames and try not to burn the fur and horns of the deer monster. The 3-legged fire crows followed the command and began to use the tactics of precision strikes, specifically attacking the vital parts of the deer monster. The battle lasted for nearly an hour, and the deer monsters finally lost in the case of a huge disparity in numbers, and fell one after another. Ye Changsheng immediately ordered the fire crows to stop attacking and carefully inspect the spoils. To his delight, the bodies of the 8 deer monsters were well preserved, especially the golden horns, which were not damaged at all. He carefully took out these precious materials, including draining all the deer blood, and stored them properly in a special storage bag. These materials are enough to refine a lot of 3rd level spirit gathering pills. Ye Changsheng nodded with satisfaction. Father will definitely be very happy. This batch of spirit gathering pills can greatly improve the cultivation speed of my brothers at home. While counting the harvest, he arranged the 3-legged fire crows to guard the surroundings. It is rare to see so many 3rd level deer monsters in this area. Maybe there are other precious spiritual beasts nearby. Thinking of this, Ye Changsheng decided to continue searching and strive for more gains. Ye Changsheng carefully observed the surrounding environment and found that the hoof prints of these deer monsters all pointed in the same direction. Following the traces, he soon found a hidden valley entrance behind a dense spiritual bamboo forest. The entrance was covered with naturally formed spiritual barriers, which made Ye Changsheng more convinced that this must be a 3rd level spiritual land. He carefully cracked the spiritual barrier and led the 3-legged fire crows into the valley cautiously. After passing through a winding gorge, the view suddenly opened up. A basin surrounded by mountains appeared in front of him, and the rich spiritual energy almost turned into substantial white mist lingering in the valley. Ye Changsheng was surprised to find that the entire basin was a complete 3rd level spiritual land, and it was extremely well preserved. There is a spiritual spring in the center of the basin. The clear spring water emits a faint golden light. It is obviously a rare 3rd level spiritual spring. The spring water converges into a stream, nourishing a large area of spiritual medicines around it. Ye Changsheng carefully identified and found that various precious 3rd level spiritual medicines grew here. Purple heart grass, Kinglan ginseng, yuhua flower, etc., each of which is priceless. What is even more surprising is that in an open area next to the spiritual spring, there are more than a dozen 3rd level top quality Jiuxia spiritual fruit trees full of fruits. This kind of spiritual fruit contains rich spiritual power and is the main material for refining the 3rd level Yuxia pill. The spiritual fruit on the tree has matured and exudes an attractive fragrance. In the southeast corner of the basin, Ye Changsheng also found a natural spiritual vein outcrop. There, all flashing with silver light, showed that this was a high quality 3rd level silver concentrate vein. This kind of spiritual silver is an excellent material for refining magic tools and is extremely rare on the market. A bamboo forest in the northwest corner caught Ye Changhai's attention. After approaching and inspecting it, he was surprised to find that it was a third level jade bamboo. The bamboo was light green throughout and could be used to refine various magic tools and alchemy furnaces. Ye Changhai immediately organized the three-legged fire crows to start collecting. He carefully picked all the ripe Jiuxia spiritual fruits and dug up a large number of precious spiritual medicines. He also dug out the leaves of the Jiuxia fruit and put them into the spiritual plant bag he specially prepared. For those spiritual medicines that were not fully mature, he made special marks and prepared to harvest them later. He also collected a large amount of spiritual spring water in a special large capacity jade bottle. These spring waters can not only be used to refine pills, but also improve cultivation after taking them. As for the silver ore vein, he also collected some easy to mine ores, marked them, and prepared to hand them over to the family, and immediately mobilized the family's foundation building monks to mine. According to the regulations, he would take half of the mined silver ore. Finally, he selected some of the best quality jade bamboos. These bamboos can not only be used to refine tools, but the bamboo marrow in them is also a rare medicine. Chapter 464 Ye Changru attacks. The whole collection process lasted for most of the day. When Ye Changhai counted the harvest, he was shocked by the astonishing number. He harvested dozens of third-level spiritual medicines alone, and collected nearly 100 Jiuxia spiritual fruits, including Jiuxia fruit trees, in addition to more than a dozen bottles of spirit-gathering spring water and a large amount of silver ore. This harvest is enough to benefit his lineage. After all, he is also a great-grandfather, and his lineage already has dozens of descendants who have the qualifications to cultivate immortals at present. They are all building foundations or refining key. For safety reasons, they did not participate in this attack on the demon clan. I have to think more about them. In order to ensure the safety of this spiritual land, Ye Changhai rearranged a stronger concealment formation before leaving, and set up early warning spells around it. Such a treasure land must be well protected to retain this stable source of resources for the family. During an accidental expedition, Ye Changru discovered a third level, top-level spiritual mountain, and he set his sights on this place. That day, he was flying in the sea of clouds with his divine beast, the starry sky bird, when he suddenly felt a strong fluctuation of spiritual energy. Following the source of the spiritual energy, he found a towering spiritual mountain, with a faint spiritual light covering the top of the mountain. It was obviously an extremely rare third-level top spiritual land. After several days of careful investigation, Ye Changru confirmed that there was a group of snake monsters entrenched on this spiritual mountain, including more than 30 third-level black snake monsters, and nearly 1,000 second-level and below snake monsters. There are 3 spiritual springs on the spiritual mountain with abundant spiritual energy, but due to the existence of snake monsters, it has become a snake cave with dense holes and snake shadows. Ye Changru knew that once such a treasure land was controlled by the family, it would greatly enhance the overall strength of the family. He decided to take a risk and personally lead his 3-legged fire crows to clear it out. In order to ensure that everything is foolproof, he specially equipped the ancient treasure Yufeng wings. This treasure not only allows him to fly at high speed in the air, but also allows him to dodge flexibly in battle and deal a fatal blow to the enemy. In addition, he also took out 3 4th-level top-grade large Vajra talismans and 9 small Vajra talismans prepared by Ye Changsheng for them. In case of emergency. On the day of the battle, Ye Changru summoned 83rd-level 3-legged fire crows and asked 2 Daoting level 3-legged fire crows to support them. Although the Daoting level 3-legged fire crows are powerful, he is reluctant to use them easily, unless it is a life and death situation. Ye Changru rode the starry sky bird, and led the army of fire crows to attack the snake cave. At the beginning of the battle, Ye Changru commanded the 3-legged fire crows to attack from the air. The fire crows spewed out blazing flames and rushed straight to the snake demon in the snake cave. The snake demons were not to be outdone and rushed out of the cave one after another. The black snake demon opened its bloody mouth and spewed out poisonous mist, To try to resist the attack of the fire crows, Ye Changsheng shuttled flexibly in the air, and the wind controlling wings made him as fast as lightning point. While commanding the fire crows, he cast spells, and the golden sword in his hand turned into golden light, hitting the snake demons, causing them to scream. Despite this, the number of snake demons was large, and the battle was temporarily stalemate. As time went on, the snake demons gradually adapted to the attacks of the fire crows and began to organize a counter-attack. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng decisively offered a small Vajra talisman. This talisman turned into a golden barrier, blocking the poisonous fog attack of the snake demons, and also provided the fire crows with a chance to breathe. At this moment, 3 third-level black snake demons suddenly attacked from the flank, trying to sneak attack Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng was well prepared, and he quickly controlled the starbird to take off and avoid the attack of the snake demons. Then, he swooped down from the air, and the magic sword in his hand flashed with cold light, piercing one of the black snake demons in the 7 inches. The black snake demon twisted his body in pain and finally fell down powerlessly. However, the number of snake demons was too large, and Ye Changsheng and the fire crows gradually felt overwhelmed. The battle entered a white-hot stage, and the snake demon group began to show its true ferocity. A huge third-level black snake demon suddenly opened its bloody mouth and sprayed a dark green venom, heading straight for Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng drove the starbird to dodge quickly, but the venom still brushed his sleeves, instantly corroding a big hole in the cloth. He was still in shock. If he was hit directly by the venom, he might even corrode his bones. Be careful, Ye Changsheng shouted, reminding the 3-legged fire crows around him. But 2 fire crows were still hit by the venom. Their feathers rotted instantly, and they fell to the ground with a shrill scream. Seeing their companions die tragically, the other fire crows launched an angry attack, and the hot flames poured down like raindrops. However, the snake demons adopted a more cunning tactic. They formed battle formations in 2s and 3s, cooperated with each other, sprayed venom, and took advantage of the terrain to conduct guerrilla warfare. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng immediately offered up the second small diamond talisman, and a protective shield was formed with golden light, protecting a group of low-level fire crows. But he soon discovered that these snake demons were far more cunning than he had imagined. Suddenly, more than a dozen second-level snake demons burrowed into the ground at the same time and broke out from different directions a moment later, trying to sneak attack the fire crows in the air. Ye Changsheng hurriedly commanded the fire crows to take off and avoid, but 3 third-level fire crows were still entangled by the snake demons and were dragged into the ground in a violent struggle. What's worse, some injured second-level snake demons actually began to self-destruct. Their bodies suddenly swelled and then exploded, releasing a large amount of corrosive poisonous mist. The poisonous fog spread rapidly in the air, forcing the fire crows to continue to rise, which also caused their fire attack power to decrease greatly. This can't go on. Ye Changsheng gritted his teeth. He had already lost 5 third-level fire crows, and although many snake demons were also killed and injured, a large number of low-level snake demons continued to pour out of the cave. At this moment, a third-level black snake demon with the largest body suddenly howled to the sky, and the surrounding snake demons seemed to be summoned by something and gathered around it. Then, these snake demons actually began to entangle with each other, forming a huge snake formation in a blink of an eye. This giant snake, composed of hundreds of snake demons, exuded a terrifying breath. It opened its bloody mouth and sprayed out not ordinary venom, but a poisonous fog-like column as big as a house. Seeing that the situation was not good, Ye Changsheng immediately sacrificed a big Vajra talisman. The golden light rushed up to the sky, barely blocking this fatal blow. But he clearly saw that cracks had appeared on the golden light barrier. What worried him even more was that the remaining fire crows were already showing signs of fatigue. Their flames were obviously weakened, and some were even beginning to wobble. However, the snake demons seemed to never tire and continued to launch fierce attacks. Ye Changsheng's forehead was covered with cold sweat. He knew that he had to come up with a plan to break the deadlock as soon as possible, otherwise the outcome of this battle would be very bad. Chapter 465, Mutation. Just when he was about to make a desperate bet, there was a sudden commotion among the snake demons. At this moment, a heart-pounding wave came from the depths of the snake cave. A huge white snake slowly crawled out. It was snow white and its scales shone with a pearl-like luster. The most eye-catching thing was its pair of golden vertical pupils, which revealed a heart-pounding pressure. Ye Changsheng was shocked. This white snake had reached the Daoting realm, although it was obviously just a breakthrough from the fluctuation of its breath. It should not be underestimated. As soon as the white snake appeared, the morale of the surrounding black snake demons was greatly boosted, and they made hissing sounds one after another. The white snake raised its head and let out a long howl, and the surrounding snake demons immediately lined up. It opened its huge mouth, and a brilliant white light directly hit Ye Changsheng's Vajra talisman protective shield. The protective shield was instantly shattered under this terrifying impact, and the golden light scattered. Ye Changsheng was shocked and hurriedly urged the starbird to retreat quickly. At the same time, he also activated the ancient treasure Yufeng wings on his body. Just when the second attack of the white snake was about to hit, Ye Changsheng used double acceleration to barely avoid this fatal attack. Seeing Ye Changsheng in danger, the two Daoting realm three-legged fire crows that had been hovering in the sky finally took action. Their body size was more than twice that of ordinary three-legged fire crows, and they were surrounded by dark red flames, exuding amazing pressure. Roar! The two fire crows roared at the same time, and they attacked the white snake from the left and right. The larger fire crow spewed a red column of fire from its mouth, and the other one spread its wings, and countless fire feathers shot at the white snake like arrows. Although the white snake had just entered the Daoting realm, its fighting instinct was extremely sharp. Its huge body swam quickly on the ground, flexibly avoiding the frontal impact of the fire column. At the same time, a layer of white halo appeared around it, which bounced all the fire feathers away. Seeing this, the two fire crows immediately changed their tactics. One of them dived, and the other circled, forming a perfect coordination. The larger fire crow was responsible for the frontal containment, constantly spraying flames, forcing the white snake to deal with it. The other one looked for an opportunity and tried to launch a surprise attack from the flank. The white snake was not an easy opponent. It suddenly raised its tail high and whipped the fire crow in the air like a long whip. At the same time, a cloud of white mist sprayed out of its mouth, and wherever the mist passed, even the air seemed to be frozen. The two fire crows had to disperse and dodge, but they quickly regrouped. This time, they released the most powerful fire attack at the same time, and two hot fire pillars intertwined in the air, forming a huge fire net that enveloped the white snake. The white snake let out a painful hiss, and its scales were burned red. But it did not retreat, but became more ferocious. Its body suddenly swelled, releasing a circle of powerful energy fluctuations, and it actually broke through the encirclement of the fire net. During this fierce fight, Ye Changsheng was not idle either. He noticed that the other black snake monsters had begun to show signs of fatigue due to continuous fighting. Their movements became slow, and the venom spray was no longer so fierce. Seizing this opportunity, Ye Changsheng immediately adjusted his tactics. He commanded the remaining third-level fire crows to disperse and form an encirclement. At the same time, he controlled the starry sky bat to shuttle continuously, and the flying sword in his hand was like a silver light, specifically aiming at the weaker black snake monsters. Swoosh! The flying sword cut through the sky and accurately pierced a second-level black snake. Immediately afterwards, Ye Changsheng controlled the flying sword to turn rapidly and killed two low-level snake monsters who tried to escape. The third-level fire crows also cooperated tacitly, and their flames formed a wall of fire, dividing the snake group into several small groups. The black snake monsters that lost their collective advantage suddenly fell into chaos, and some even began to attack each other. Ye Changsheng seized this opportunity and commanded the starry sky bird to draw a beautiful arc in the air. He made a gesture with his hand, and the flying sword suddenly split into several sword shadows, which fell like a meteor shower, and each sword shadow accurately hit the vital point of a snake demon. As time went on, the number of black snake demons decreased sharply. Those snake demons that were still alive were also exhausted, and their venom attacks became weak and powerless. and even basic defenses were difficult to maintain. Seeing this, Ye Changsheng decided to launch a final general attack. He let the third level fire crows form a fire dragon formation, and countless fireballs poured down like a rainstorm. At the same time, he himself held a flying sword, and under the leadership of the starry sky bird, he shuttled through the snake group like a flash of lightning, harvesting the last life point in less than a moment, except for the white snake, that was still fighting fiercely with the doting fire crow. All other black snake demons had been killed. The entire battlefield was covered with the corpses of snake demons, and the air was filled with the smell of burnt and corroded. Ye Changsheng quickly turned to the last battlefield. There, two doting realm three-legged fire crows were fighting fiercely with the 4th level white snake. Although the white snake was already wounded, it was still extremely ferocious. Its body twisted in the air, and every flick of its tail could stir up a gust of wind. The two fire crows had to change positions frequently to avoid being hit by this terrifying force. We must fight quickly and decisively, Ye Changsheng said in his heart. He controlled the starry sky bird to hover at the edge of the battlefield, looking for the best time to attack. Suddenly, one of the fire crows seized the opportunity and sprayed a red fire column, accurately hitting the white snake's abdomen. The white snake felt pain and its body was slightly sluggish. Ye Changsheng immediately seized this flaw, and the flying sword in his hand turned into a silver light, directly hitting the white snake's 7 inches. The white snake reacted very quickly and twisted its body to avoid it, but the other fire crow was well prepared, and its flames formed a barrier, limiting the white snake's movement space. The flying sword was unstoppable and pierced deeply under the scales of the white snake. Hiss! The white snake let out a deafening scream. Its body twitched violently, and the airwaves even made the nearby trees begin to shake. The two fire crows took the opportunity to launch a fierce attack, and dense fireballs poured down like a meteor shower. Under this fierce attack, the body of the white snake was cut into 3 pieces, but just when Ye Changsheng thought he had won, something strange happened. The head of the white snake suddenly stopped struggling, and it seemed to have lost its vitality. Ye Changsheng was about to go forward to check, but he saw that the snake head suddenly opened its eyes, opened its bloody mouth, and shot towards him. At the critical moment, the ancient treasure Yufeng wings behind Ye Changsheng shone brightly. His figure dodged backwards like a ghost, barely avoiding the fatal blow. The snake head hit the boulder behind him, smashing the hard rock into pieces. What a cunning beast! Ye Changsheng snorted coldly and made a gesture with his hands. The flying sword immediately split into 3 sword shadows, stabbing at the snake head from different angles at the same time. The two fire crows also tacitly released the last flame attack. Under this airtight offensive, the white snake finally had no power to resist. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 466 Yeshengruin-039 S Harvest. Its body began to decay rapidly, turning into a ball of black gas and dissipating in the air. After the battle, Ye Changsheng breathed a sigh of relief. He looked around and saw that the corpses of the snake demon on the ground were gradually turning into black energy and dissipating. Although the two doting realm fire crows looked tired, they finally completed this difficult battle. In the sky, the dark clouds gradually dispersed, and the sun shone on the battlefield again. A thrilling and fierce battle finally came to an end. After the battle, Ye Changsheng began to search the snake cave carefully. The entrance to the snake cave was covered with thick vines, and there were still stains of blood on the vines, which were obviously traces of previous battles. He carefully pushed aside the vines and stepped into the cave. The interior of the cave is unexpectedly spacious, about dozens of feet high and winding downwards. Several luminous pearls are inlaid on the walls, emitting soft light and illuminating the entire cave. These nightlight pearls are a good harvest. Ye Changsheng smiled softly, took them off one by one, and put them away. As we go deeper, a strange fishy fragrance fills the air. The smell is not unpleasant, but has a hint of medicinal aroma. Ye Changsheng soon discovered that the scent came from a dark red elixir growing on the cave wall. The third order blood snake vine point. This kind of elixir is most suitable for refining third level healing elixirs. And one strain can be sold for hundreds of thousands of spirit stones on the market. I didn't expect there to be so many blood snake vines here. Ye Changsheng collected them carefully and soon harvested dozens of them. Continuing forward, the cave suddenly opens up. In front of you is a huge cave, surrounded by large and small stone platforms, and an astonishing number of snake eggs are piled on each stone platform. These snake eggs vary in size. Some are as big as a fist, and some are even bigger than a watermelon. Ye Changsheng looked carefully, and found that there were 29 third level snake eggs, exuding faint spiritual energy fluctuations. If these snake eggs hatch, they will definitely grow into powerful third level demonic snakes. He did not hesitate to put these precious third level snake eggs into his storage bag. As for the remaining second order and first order snake eggs, the number is even more astonishing, numbering in the thousands. Ye Changsheng turned to look at the third order three-legged fire crow following behind him, and said with a smile, "These are for you." A gleam of wisdom flashed in the eyes of the Teoting realm fire crows. They nodded slightly to Ye Changsheng, and then began to enjoy the feast. Other three-legged fire crows happily joined in, and the whole cave echoed with their cries of joy. Deep in the cave, Ye Changsheng made another major discovery. A piece of spiritual gold mine shimmering with metallic luster came into view. There were probably hundreds of pieces in it. The big ones are the size of houses and the small ones are the size of footballs. It is an extremely rare 4th level purple gold spirit mine. This kind of spiritual gold not only contains powerful spiritual power, but is also an excellent material for refining 4th level magic weapons. What an unexpected surprise, Ye Changsheng said in surprise. In addition, there are many precious snake elixirs scattered throughout the cave. Green snake grass, snake gall flower, 7-star snake mushroom, etc. are all rare third level treasures. These elixirs grow on moist rock walls and shine under the light of night pearls in the deepest part of the cave. Ye Changsheng also discovered a naturally formed stone chamber in the stone chamber at the deepest point of the cave. Ye Changsheng's eyes were attracted by a few scales on the ground that emitted a bright white light. He carefully picked up these scales, which were cold and tough in texture. They were obviously not the skin shed by ordinary snakes. These scales, could they be left behind by the 4th level white snake just now? Ye Changsheng secretly guessed. Just as he was looking at the scales carefully, a fragrance suddenly came from deep in the stone chamber. Looking along the scent, Ye Changsheng's eyes widened instantly, and his breathing became rapid. On a raised platform at the end of the stone room, an ancient tree about 3 feet high was standing quietly. The trunk showed a lavender luster, and the surface was covered with fine scales, like a snake's skin. The crown of the tree is not dense, but it exudes a strong aura, and 7 fist-sized fruits can be vaguely seen among the branches and leaves. The appearance of these fruits has a crystal clear jade texture, like 7 crystal balls hanging on the branches. Inside each fruit, there is a pale golden liquid flowing slowly, emitting heart-shaking spiritual energy fluctuations. The 4th grade high-quality snake fruit tree, and it also bears 7 fully mature fruits. Ye Changsheng was so excited that his hands were trembling slightly. He knew how valuable this spiritual fruit was. Snake saliva fruit can not only be used to refine 4th level elixirs, but after being taken, it can also enhance the spiritual toughness of monks. It is a rare spiritual object that many large sects are struggling to find. He took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. After carefully checking the surroundings and confirming that there were no restrictions or mechanisms, he slowly walked towards the fruit tree. I didn't expect that clearing out the snake cave would give me such a great opportunity. Ye Changsheng's face showed a look of joy that could not be concealed. He took out a special jade box and began to pick these snake fruits one by one. Each fruit feels slightly warm when you hold it. The skin is as smooth as jade, and the golden liquid inside sways gently as it moves. After collecting all 7 fruits, Ye Changsheng carefully checked the condition of the snake tree. Then he carefully put this 4th grade high grade fruit tree into the Ganoderma bag he brought. At this moment, Ye Changsheng felt like he was in a dream. A 4th grade high quality snake saliva fruit tree. 7 fully mature fruits, plus many other treasures found before. This harvest has far exceeded his expectations. He gained a lot this time, which gradually gave him confidence. He and his brothers had long known about their father's plan In the future, they would all get a sacred mountain as the ancestral land of their lineage. He is now accumulating family assets for the sake of his descendants. Although he is only in his 40s, because the Ye family is becoming more and more prosperous, he has taken concubines, and they are all beautiful women with spiritual roots. Now he also has more than a dozen children with spiritual roots. The whole search process lasted about 2 hours. When Ye Changsheng finally walked out of the snake cave, his harvest had far exceeded his expectations. 3rd grade snake eggs, rare spiritual medicines, purple gold spiritual mines, plus the snake saliva fruit and snake saliva fruit tree. This trip can be said to be a full load. 2 Daoting realm 3-legged fire crows followed behind him, and they seemed very satisfied with the harvest this time. They have eaten enough snake eggs, and the spiritual power in their bodies has obviously increased a lot. Ye Changsheng knew that this cooperation would be extremely beneficial to both parties. Just as Ye Changsheng was reaping great rewards, his brother Ye Changsheng also found important clues in another place. After several days of tracking, Ye Changsheng finally found traces of a group of gold-eating bears in a remote valley. Chapter 467 Ye Changsheng attacks. The fur of these burly monsters has a metallic luster, and each of them exudes a strong demonic aura. As the intelligence says, there are indeed gold-eating bears in this area. Ye Changsheng has many methods. This is the intelligence he bought from other human teams that killed monsters. It didn't cost much, only 100,000 spirit stones. Ye Changsheng hid behind a huge rock and carefully observed the situation in the valley. Through spiritual exploration, he counted about 30 3rd grade upper quality gold-eating bears and more than 100 other grade gold-eating bears. These gold-eating bears specialize in feeding on various spiritual golds. Often, in the places where they often appear, there must be rich spiritual gold veins, and they will also accumulate a lot of pure spiritual gold essence. Ye Changsheng touched the storage bag on his waist and calculated the resources in his hands. The ancient treasure Zuanshan shield is his greatest reliance. Although this defensive magic weapon is only 3rd grade, it is extremely reliable and powerful. In addition, he also had a 3rd grade upper grade moonlight deer as a mount, which could ensure that he could escape from danger at any time. Most importantly, he also controlled 80 3rd grade 3-legged fire crows and 2 3-legged fire crows with strength reaching the Daoting realm. However, the 2 Daoting realm fire crows were arrogant and would not easily take action unless it was a life and death situation. There are 3 4th grade upper grade large Vajra talismans and 9 small Vajra talismans. The defense should be enough. Ye Changsheng secretly calculated and began to formulate detailed tactics. He first sent 10 3-legged fire crows to hover in the sky to monitor the entire battlefield situation. Then he divided the remaining fire crows into 7 teams, each with 10 crows, and ambushed them on the commanding heights around the valley. The moonlight deer was placed in a dense forest 5 miles behind him, ready to respond at any time. He sacrificed the Zuanshan shield, which was suspended 3 feet above his head, emitting a faint protective light shield. After everything was ready, Ye Changsheng took out a special beast attracting incense, which he prepared specifically for this operation. This scent would make the gold-eating bears restless and more easily fooled. Now, he lit the beast attracting incense and offered a piece of top-grade spiritual gold at the same time, deliberately revealing a trace of breath. Sure enough, the nearest few gold-eating bears immediately sensed the breath of spiritual gold. Under the effect of the beast attracting incense, they became extremely excited and rushed towards Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng immediately retreated and guided these gold-eating bears into the encirclement he had carefully arranged. When the first batch of gold-eating bears chased into the ambush circle, he suddenly cast a spell. Boom. The fire crows ambushing around launched an attack at the same time, and dozens of flaming meteors fell from the sky, covering these gold-eating bears. Although the gold-eating bears had extremely strong defenses, they still looked a little embarrassed under such intensive firepower. More gold-eating bears were attracted by the momentum of the battle, and Ye Changsheng kept changing positions to make these monsters fall into a state of dispersion. Whenever a gold-eating bear broke through the encirclement of the fire crows, he would offer the Vajra talisman and respond calmly with the powerful defense. The entire battle lasted for nearly 2 hours, and Ye Changsheng's tactics played an extremely good effect. The tacit cooperation of the fire crows, coupled with his precise command, kept the gold-eating bears in a passive situation. The battle went smoothly, but things soon went wrong. A particularly large gold-eating bear suddenly rushed out from the flank, its speed far exceeding its peers, and broke through the Firecrow's firepower network in a blink of an eye. Ye Changsheng immediately recognized that this was a gold-eating bear leader close to the 4th level, and quickly offered a large Vajra talisman. The golden talisman light just blocked the claws of the gold-eating bear, but the talisman paper instantly turned into powder. The strength of this gold-eating bear far exceeded Ye Changsheng's expectations, and he had to retreat quickly, while commanding all the Firecrows to concentrate their firepower on the leader. However, the fur of the gold-eating bear leader was shining like a metal, and most of the flames were bounced away. It seemed to be madly chasing Ye Changsheng, and every blow made his defense shaky. Something is wrong. The effect of the beast attracting incense seems to have caused some kind of change in it. Ye Changsheng dodged while thinking about countermeasures. He noticed that the eyes of this gold-eating bear had completely turned blood red, and its behavior became more and more violent. At this time, other gold-eating bears were also affected by the leader and fell into a violent state. The battlefield, which was originally quite orderly, suddenly became chaotic. The attack formation of the Firecrows was disrupted, and several were even hit by the claws of the gold-eating bear and turned into flames and dissipated. The situation was critical, and Ye Changsheng had to change his tactics. While offering the second Vajra talisman, he controlled the Zuanshan shield to form a protective shield and quickly retreated to a cliff. Since you have become so violent, let this power become your death warrant. Ye Changsheng's eyes flashed, and he suddenly changed his strategy. He ordered the Firecrows to stop attacking and adopt harassment tactics, specifically aiming at the eyes of the gold-eating bears to spray flames. This tactic was effective. The gold-eating bears, which lost their vision, became more violent and began to attack each other. Ye Changsheng took the opportunity to sacrifice the last Vajra talisman and took out the soul sealing net that had been prepared long ago. Now, he seized the opportunity and threw the soul sealing net towards the leader of the gold-eating bears. The leader of the gold-eating bears, in a violent state, had lost his mind and had no time to dodge. The soul sealing net accurately covered its head, and the special soul net immediately shrank, making it temporarily unable to move. Ye Changsheng did not hesitate at all, and immediately activated the Zuanshan shield. The ancient treasure burst out with dazzling light, turning into a sharp blade that slashed directly at the neck of the gold-eating bear leader. This monster, close to the 4th level, did not even have time to scream before its head was cut off by the Zuanshan shield. Once the leader died, the other gold-eating bears were leaderless. Ye Changsheng seized the opportunity and commanded the Firecrows to adopt a siege tactic. He found that, although the strength of these gold-eating bears increased in a violent state, their defense decreased significantly. The next battle became much easier. The Firecrows cooperated tacitly, sometimes spitting out fireballs and sometimes spraying flames to defeat the gold-eating bears one by one. Ye Changsheng used the remaining small diamond talismans to protect himself, while constantly creating killing opportunities with the Zuanshan shield. 2 hours later, the battle finally ended. There were more than 100 corpses of gold-eating bears lying on the ground, and the largest corpse of the leader had been put into Ye Changsheng's storage bag. Although there were some unexpected events in this battle, it was still a complete victory in the end. Ye Changsheng checked the losses and found that 5 three-legged Firecrows disappeared in the battle. This price was within his tolerance. The 2 three-legged Firecrows in the Daoting realm did not attack throughout the whole process, because even the leader, who was close to the 4th level, did not pose a fatal threat to Ye Changsheng. Chapter 468. The fierce Ye Changsheng finally killed them. The materials of these gold-eating bears are priceless. Ye Changsheng began to carefully examine the bodies of the gold-eating bears. The most precious part of this kind of monster is the spiritual gold crystals in its body. They devour spiritual gold ore all year round and condense extremely pure spiritual gold essence in their bodies. He started with the body of the leader of the gold-eating bears, carefully cutting open the chest. A fist-sized golden crystal suddenly appeared in sight. A faint golden light flowed on the surface of the crystal, emitting a rich spiritual energy fluctuation. This kind of peak 3rd level spiritual gold crystal is already difficult to buy on the market and is often out of stock point. Although the spiritual gold crystals in the bodies of other gold-eating bears are smaller than those of the leader, they are also very valuable. It took Ye Changsheng nearly an hour to take out all the crystals intact. More than 100 spiritual gold crystals of different sizes were neatly placed on the ground, flashing an attractive light in the sun. After dealing with the corpse, Ye Changsheng began to explore the nest of the gold-eating bears. The cave entrance was spacious enough to accommodate 3 or 4 adult gold-eating bears passing side by side. After entering the cave, he found that the interior space was even more open. The cave wall was inlaid with dots of spiritual gold ore, which shone brightly under his spiritual power. The ground was scattered with ore fragments that the gold-eating bears had gnawed, and the air was filled with a strong metallic smell. The deeper he went, the more shocked Ye Changsheng was. This was not an ordinary beast cave, but a large-scale 4th level purple gold vein. The entire cave was filled with high-quality purple gold ore, and some places even formed thick mineral layers. No wonder this group of gold-eating bears chose to settle here. This is simply their paradise. Ye Changsheng carefully observed the direction of the ore vein, and found that the quality of this purple gold mine was extremely high, and there was no lack of pure purple gold close to the 4th level. This level of spiritual gold ore is a strategic material even in large sects, and is often closely protected. I didn't expect to find such a precious mineral deposit in this monster forest. Deep in the cave, Ye Changsheng also found the storage room of the gold-eating bears. Piles of mined spiritual gold ores piled up like mountains, with dozens of tons estimated to be as much as they have accumulated over the years after the initial purification of these ores by the gold-eating bears. The quality is already quite good. Ye Changsheng took out several large storage bags and began to collect these ready-made ores at the same time. He did not forget to start with the unmined veins, taking out the spiritual mining hoe he carried with him. Ye Changsheng began to selectively mine the ores with the best quality. Although this process is time consuming, in order to ensure that the quality of the ore is not damaged, he must be careful. After working for most of the day, Ye Changsheng put all the spiritual gold ores that he could take away into the storage bag. Roughly estimated, the value of these ores alone is enough to sustain the expenses of a small 3rd level sect for hundreds of years. More importantly, the location of this vein is very hidden. As long as it is handled properly, it can be used as a private source of minerals. This trip is really full of surprises. Ye Changsheng put away the last piece of ore with satisfaction. Not only did we solve the threat of the gold-eating bear, but we also got such a rich reward. It seems that we need to find a way to set up several large formations as soon as possible to protect this place. Look at Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng stood on the top of the mountain, overlooking the valley below. The rich spiritual energy swirled in the valley, forming a faint white mist. This area has formed a 4th level spiritual land, which is occupied by a group of white tiger monsters. It's really a good place. Ye Changsheng sneered, and a hint of murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He could feel that one of the white tiger monsters had reached the early 4th level, and the rest were at the peak of the 3rd level. Such a combination of strength is indeed difficult for ordinary cultivators to deal with, but for him, it is an excellent prey. Ye Changsheng took out the demon slaying spear, and the spear body glowed with a faint cold light. This ancient treasure, which had been used by his father Ye Changsheng for many years, was stained with the blood of countless monsters, and had long since developed a bloodthirsty aura. Go, Ye Changsheng shouted, and 83rd level 3-legged fire crows suddenly took off into the air, making a harsh cry. These fire crows were all battle pets carefully cultivated by his father Ye Changsheng. Although each one was not strong, they were numerous and cooperated well. At the same time, his main battle pet, the 9 heavens divine phoenix, also spread its wings and flew high, making a loud phoenix cry. This 3rd level top grade divine phoenix was not only powerful, but also had superior wisdom. The group of white tigers obviously sensed the threat and roared to the sky. The 4th level white tiger in the Lead even took off directly and pounced in the direction of Ye Changsheng. Ye Changsheng was not in a hurry and first offered a 4th level top grade Vajra talisman. A thick protective shield enveloped him as the golden light flashed. The 3-legged fire crows have begun to attack and the rain of fire has poured down, turning the entire valley into a sea of fire. Although the white tigers are powerful, they have to disperse and dodge in the face of such intensive attacks. The 9 Sky Divine Phoenix directly fights with the 4th level white tiger. Although its realm is slightly lower, it can still deal with it with its blood advantage and flexible body. The battle between the 9 Sky Divine Phoenix and the 4th level white tiger broke out instantly. The whole body of the Divine Phoenix is fiery red and every feather is like a burning flame, shining with dazzling light in the sun. When its 3-meter wide wings spread out, it was like 2 huge flame curtains, dyeing the sky red. The phoenix crown on its head shone brightly and the 9 dragon-like tail feathers danced in the air, exuding the unique majesty of the royal family. Although the 4th level white tiger was at a higher level, it seemed a little afraid of the 9 heavens divine phoenix with royal blood. The white tiger roared and pounced on the divine phoenix and its sharp claws flashed with cold light. However, the divine phoenix just flapped its wings lightly and easily avoided this fatal blow. The divine phoenix made a loud phoenix cry and the sound waves spread like substance, shaking the air around it. A trace of disdain flashed in its star-like eyes and the flames all over its body suddenly surged. Countless flame runes appeared around the divine phoenix and these runes revolved around it, exuding an ancient and mysterious atmosphere. This is the innate magical power of the Phoenix clan 9 heavens flame dance. The white tiger seemed to sense the danger and wanted to retreat, but it was too late. The 9 tail feathers of the divine phoenix suddenly dispersed and turned into 9 fire dragons that roared out. These fire dragons were not ordinary flames, but terrifying existences containing the true fire of the phoenix. The 4th level white tiger tried desperately to dodge, but these fire dragons seemed to have spirituality and chased after it. In the end, one of the fire dragons hit the white tiger's hind legs and instantly burned its fur black. The white tiger felt pain and let out a shrill howl. Taking this opportunity, the divine phoenix showed amazing speed. Chapter 469 Massacre. Its figure left traces in the air, and in the blink of an eye it appeared above the white tiger. The golden light on the phoenix crown was bright, and a golden beam of light fell down and hit the white tiger's back. This is another magical power of the Phoenix clan. Phoenix heavenly punishment. The golden light contained extremely domineering power, which directly tore through the white tiger's defense and left a deep scar on its body. The white tiger had already shown signs of decline, but the divine phoenix did not stop there. Its wings suddenly ignited a more blazing flame, and the whole body turned into a beam of fire and soared into the sky. After reaching the maximum height, the divine phoenix swooped down suddenly. At this moment, it was like a falling meteor, carrying the momentum of destroying the world. The air was cut at a very fast speed, making a sharp whistle. The white tiger wanted to dodge, but it had been severely injured by the previous attack and its movements were obviously slow. Boom. The divine phoenix carried unparalleled power and hit the white tiger heavily. The terrifying shockwave spread in all directions, shaking the surrounding trees to the ground. When the smoke and dust cleared, the white tiger was seen to have been knocked to the ground, with a huge hole in its chest, and its vitality was rapidly draining away. The divine phoenix still hovered proudly in the air, with flames all around it, and its 9 tail feathers dancing, like a god descending from the 9 heavens, exuding supreme majesty. This battle fully demonstrated the powerful strength of the divine phoenix as a member of the Phoenix royal family, as well as its innate noble temperament. Even a 4th level white tiger with a higher realm is just a slightly tricky prey in front of the true bloodline of the divine beast. Ye Changsheng was not idle either. Now, a cold light flashed in Ye Changsheng's eyes, and the demon-killing spear in his hand suddenly shot out. The spear came out like a dragon, with a fierce murderous intent, and went straight to a 3rd level peak white tiger. Although the white tiger was alert, it was too late to make an effective defense, while avoiding the attack of the fire crow. Puff. The demon-slaying spear pierced the throat of the white tiger accurately. As blood splattered, the lines on the spear began to emit a strange red light, madly absorbing the essence of the white tiger's blood. Ye Changsheng controlled the demon-slaying spear to turn around and stabbed another white tiger with another shot. Each strike was fast, accurate and fierce, not giving the opponent any chance to react. The demon-slaying spear was like an arm in Ye Changsheng's hand, and every attack was accompanied by a heart-pounding murderous intent. Wherever the tip of the spear pointed, blood would burst out, raw. A third level white tiger pounced from the side, its claws tearing the air. Ye Changsheng sneered, and his body shook, and he actually took the initiative to meet it. At the moment when the white tiger's claws were about to touch him, his body twisted strangely, and the whole person spun like a gyroscope. The demon-slaying spear drew a beautiful arc, accurately passed through the white tiger's armpit, and penetrated it completely. The blood pattern on the gun body lit up again, greedily absorbing the blood of the white tiger without waiting for the corpse to fall to the ground. Ye Changsheng had already rushed to the next target. The demon-slaying spear seemed to have life in his hand, sometimes like a venomous snake spitting out its tongue, sometimes like a dragon going out to sea, and every attack was with the determination to kill. Puff, puff, 2 muffled sounds followed, and 2 more white tigers fell in a pool of blood. The blood pattern on the demon-slaying spear became brighter and brighter, emitting a strange red light. As more and more blood was absorbed, Ye Changsheng felt that the demon-slaying spear in his hand became sharper and sharper, as if it could penetrate everything. These third level white tigers are nothing but chickens and dogs. Ye Changsheng's eyes were sharp, and the demon-slaying spear in his hand was flying around, drawing cold light in the air in a blink of an eye. Several more white tigers fell under his gun. The blood dyed the ground red, and the air was filled with a strong smell of blood. The demon-slaying spear seemed to never get tired, and every thrust could take away a life. At this moment, a thunderous roar came from afar. A new 4th level white tiger rushed out of the cave. A huge monster that was almost twice the size of an ordinary white tiger was galloping towards this side. It was a 4th level middle grade white tiger. Come on. Ye Changsheng was not afraid, but showed an excited look. The 4th level white tiger was obviously much stronger than the previous opponent, and every attack of it was with overwhelming momentum. But Ye Changsheng's body movements were strange, and he could always avoid the vital points at the critical moment. Swish. The demon-slaying spear seized the floor and left a deep wound on the shoulder of the white tiger. The demon-slaying spear, which absorbed a lot of blood, was so powerful at this time that even the fur of the 4th level white tiger could not completely resist it. Roar. The 4th level middle grade white tiger was furious, with demonic energy surging around it, and slapped Ye Changsheng with one claw. Ye Changsheng dodged the fatal blow. The sharp claws of the 4th level middle grade white tiger brushed past his sleeves, bringing a gust of wind and making a deep pit on the ground. What a fast speed. Ye Changsheng was secretly shocked, but his hands did not slow down at all. The demon-slaying spear swept out and forced back another attack of the white tiger. The 4th level middle grade white tiger had obviously started to get serious. Its dark green eyes locked onto Ye Changsheng, and the demonic energy around it condensed to form a white cyclone visible to the naked eye. The next moment, its speed suddenly increased, and it pounced on Ye Changsheng like a white lightning. Not good. Ye Changsheng was startled, and in a hurry he only had time to raise his gun to block. Bang. The huge impact made Ye Changsheng retreat several steps, his palms numb, and he could hardly hold the demon-slaying spear, but he gritted his teeth and refused to let go. The 4th level middle grade white tiger saw that the attack failed and immediately changed his tactics, whipping Ye Changsheng's waist with his tail like a long whip. If this attack hit, it would be enough to cut an ordinary cultivator in half. Ye Changsheng did not dare to take it head on, and rolled on the spot to avoid this fatal blow. But the 4th level middle grade white tiger's attack was continuous like a tide, giving him no chance to breathe. We must find a breakthrough. While dealing with the 4th level middle grade white tiger's fierce attack, Ye Changsheng was calculating in his mind. Suddenly, he noticed that the shoulder wound of the 4th level middle grade white tiger that he had stabbed before was still bleeding, which made his eyes light up. Now, Ye Chang'an suddenly injected his spiritual power into the demon-slaying spear, and the blood pattern on the gun instantly shone brightly, and an astonishing murderous aura rose to the sky. The 4th level middle grade white tiger seemed to sense the danger, and wanted to retreat to distance itself. But it was too late. Ye Chang'an used all his life's learning to perform the killing move 9 Heavens Demon Killing. The demon killing spear drew 9 mysterious trajectories in the air, and each shot was aimed directly at the white tiger's vitals. The 4th level middle grade white tiger retreated again and again, but the pain of the wound affected its speed. Finally, at the 7th shot, the demon killing spear broke through its defense and pierced deeply into its chest. The 4th level middle grade white tiger let out a mournful cry, but it was still unwilling to fall down. It endured the severe pain and opened its bloody mouth to bite Ye Chang'an. Chapter 470 Meeting Xiao Yunshan again. Ye Chang'an knew that this was its last struggle, so instead of retreating, he leaned forward and pushed the demon-slaying spear forward a few more points. Puff, blood gushed out, staining Ye Chang'an's collar red. The fangs of the 4th level intermediate white tiger barely grazed his shoulder, leaving several deep wounds that could be seen to the bone, but he showed a victorious smile. Because the demon-slaying spear had penetrated the white tiger's heart. The majestic 4th level white tiger finally fell, and its eyes full of unwillingness gradually lost their spirit. Ye Chang'an pulled out the demon-slaying spear and gasped heavily. In this battle, he almost exhausted all his strength, but the gains were also huge. The demon-slaying spear absorbed so much blood, and its power is no longer what it used to be. He looked at the corpses of white tigers on the ground, wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, and muttered to himself, "This battle is worth it." Just as Ye Chang'an was about to continue chasing the rest of the white tiger monsters, there was a sound of a hurried landing of a flying boat and shouts of killing in the distance. "Who is it?" Ye Chang'an frowned and looked in the direction of the sound. Soon, a group of people appeared in the field of vision. The leader was wearing a luxurious robe, with a handsome face, but a bit of arrogance. It was Xiao Yunshan, the young master of the Xianling sect who had competed with him for the 9 Heavens Divine Phoenix at the Lanfeng auction house last time. Ye Chang'an. After Xiao Yunshan saw the person clearly, he sneered and said, "I didn't expect to meet you here." Ye Chang'an didn't say anything, but just looked at the other party vigilantly. Since the last auction, he knew that the young master of the Xianling sect was hostile to him. Xiao Yunshan glanced at the corpses of the white tigers on the ground, and his face suddenly darkened. "These white tigers are the prey that my Xianling sect has been tracking for 3 days. You are so bold that you dare to steal my Xianling sect's prey. What? A joke?" Ye Chang'an said coldly, "This hunting ground is not the private property of the Xianling sect. Anyone who encounters it can hunt it. How can it be said that you steal the prey?" A young cultivator in the purple mansion period behind Xiao Yunshan immediately echoed, "Young master, this kid not only robbed our prey, but also robbed the 9 Heavens Divine Phoenix at the auction last time. In my opinion, he deliberately went against my Xianling sect." As soon as these words came out, Xiao Yunshan's eyes became cold. The matter of the 9 Heavens Divine Phoenix has always been a knot in his heart. He thought that the divine body should belong to the Xianling sect and himself, but Ye Chang'an got it first. Ye Chang'an, hand over the 9 Heavens Divine Phoenix and compensate for the losses of these white tigers. I can let bygones be bygones for what happened today. Xiao Yunshan said condescendingly. Ye Chang'an sneered upon hearing this. "Are you kidding, young master Xiao? I bought the 9 Heavens Divine Phoenix at the auction in a fair and square manner, and I also hunted these white tigers with my own ability. Why should I give it to you, then? You are just refusing to accept my offer." Xiao Yunshan's face darkened. "Come on, take him down for me." More than a dozen Xianling sect disciples in the purple mansion period immediately surrounded him, each offering their magic weapons and formations, full of murderous intent. Although Ye Chang'an had just experienced a fierce battle, he was not easy to bully. He clenched the demon-slaying spear, circulated his spiritual power, and prepared for the battle. At this moment, a crisp bird song suddenly sounded. Everyone was stunned. I saw a fiery red figure flying out of Ye Changsheng's storage bag. It was the Nine Heavens Divine Phoenix. The moment Zhao Yunshan saw the Nine Heavens Divine Phoenix, a strong greed flashed in his eyes. Sure. Enough. It's on you. Ye Changsheng, you must hand over the Nine Heavens Divine Phoenix today. Yunshan shouted sternly. The Nine Heavens Divine Phoenix seemed to sense the danger, and it let out an angry cry, with flames rising around it. Although it has not yet fully grown, its natural pressure still frightened everyone present. Ye Changsheng felt warm in his heart. He did not expect that this little guy would take the initiative to show up and help in a critical moment. Zhao Yunshan, you think too highly of yourself. Ye Changsheng sneered. With just you and your people, you want to snatch the Nine Heavens Divine Phoenix. Zhao Yunshan's face was uncertain, and he did not expect the Nine Heavens Divine Phoenix to be so protective of its master at this time. He suddenly thought of something, and a sinister smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Ye Changsheng, do you know that privately hunting white tigers is a serious crime? These white tigers are the hunting permits that my Xianling sect has applied for from the Alliance. You are destroying my sect's mission. Ye Changsheng was startled in his heart. He did not expect that the other party had this trick point. If he really followed this charge, he was indeed in the wrong point. But he thought about it again. How could things be so coincidental? The group of white tigers that he had just targeted happened to be the hunting mission applied for by the Xianling sect. The key is that now there are monsters everywhere, and the Alliance generally teaches everyone to kill freely to obtain their own opportunities, and rarely issue special hunting missions. Therefore, he concluded that Zhao Yuntai was deceiving him. Ye Changsheng then said with a determined look, since young Master Zhao said that these white tigers are the hunting mission of the Xianling sect, then you must have the permission jade slip issued by the Alliance in your hand. Ye Changsheng said calmly, with a bit of teasing in his eyes. Zhao Yunshan paused when he heard the words. His face was slightly embarrassed, but he soon regained his arrogant expression. The permission jade slip is naturally stored in the sect, and I don't have it with me now. That's really a coincidence. Ye Changsheng sneered. Without the permission jade slip, young Master Zhao's words will not stand. You, Zhao Yunshan was exposed for his lie, and he was immediately angry and embarrassed. Stop talking nonsense. No matter what happens today, these Nine Heavens Divine Phoenix and White Tiger must stay. Do it. Before he finished speaking, Zhao Yunshan took the lead, and a purple longsword came through the air with a sharp sword energy point at the same time. The surrounding Xianling sect disciples also launched attacks one after another, with the magic weapons shining brightly and fiercely. Ye Changsheng held the demon killing gun in his hand, and spiritual power surged in his body. Although the previous battle consumed a lot of strength, facing this situation, he could only deal with it with all his strength. Since you are seeking death, don't blame me for being rude. Ye Changsheng gave a low shout and swept out the demon-slaying spear. A crimson spearlight shot across the sky, forcing several Xianling sect disciples to retreat. The Nine Heaven Divine Phoenix hovered in the air, emitting a clear cry from time to time. The blazing true phoenix fire enveloped the surrounding area, blocking Ye Changsheng from some attacks. The three-legged fire crows also faced off against other members of the Xianling sect. Zhao Yunshan became even more angry when he saw this. He made a seal with both hands, and the purple sword turned into thousands of sword shadows, attacking Ye Changsheng like raindrops. Xianling sword formation. Kill. Ye Changsheng did not dare to be careless. The demon-slaying spear danced like a dragon, and the shadow of the spear was airtight. Every blow contains powerful power, crushing the incoming sword energy one by one. However, the siege of more than a dozen Zifu period monks finally put great pressure on Ye Changsheng. Gradually, his movements began to become sluggish, and beads of sweat broke out on his forehead. At this moment, the Nine Heavens Divine Phoenix suddenly let out a high-pitched cry, and the flames around it surged. Circles of blazing phoenix true fire spread around, forcing some Xianling sect disciples back. Chapter 471 Defeat the enemy. Ye Changsheng seized the opportunity, and the demon-slaying spear suddenly burst out with bright light. Demon-slaying spear technique. Air-piercing strike. A Crimson spearlight shot straight into the sky, tearing Zhao Yunshan's sword array apart with a devastating force. Zhao Yunshan responded hastily and was shocked by the blow. He retreated repeatedly, and a trace of blood spilled from the corner of his mouth. Damn it, Zhao. Yunshan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and a fierce look flashed in his eyes. Everyone obeys the order and capture him at all costs. The disciples of Xianling sect took out their talismans and arrays, preparing to launch a stronger offensive. The disciples of Xianling sect acted upon hearing the order and quickly formed a mysterious formation. The array discs in the hands of more than 10 people glowed brightly, and the spiritual rays of light intertwined with each other, quickly forming a huge purple light shield, covering Ye Changsheng and the 9 heavens divine phoenix. The heavenly spirit trapped immortal formation. Zhao Yunshan laughed ferociously. This is our Xianling sect's suppression formation. Even the masters of the Daoting stage can't break it for a while. Today, you will definitely die. Inside the light shield, the space began to distort, and countless purple thunders wandered around, striking Ye Changsheng from time to time. Every thunderbolt contains terrifying destructive power, enough to instantly turn the Zifu stage monks into powder. Ye Changsheng's expression was solemn. He could feel the terror of this formation. The demon slaying spear was swung like lightning, barely able to withstand the thunder's bombardment. But it was extremely consumed. The 9 heavens divine phoenix let out a mournful cry. It sensed the danger of its master, and the flames all over its body surged, turning into a fireball like the scorching sun, and slammed into the light shield. However, the mask only vibrated slightly, and no cracks appeared. Ha ha ha, Zhao Yunshan laughed proudly. Don't waste your efforts. This heavenly spirit trapped immortal formation was jointly set up by 12 Zifu stage monks. It's impossible for you to break through it. Ye Changsheng gritted his teeth, and the spiritual power in his body was running wildly. He knew that he couldn't continue to be beaten passively, otherwise he would be killed in the battle sooner or later. Jiushan, let's attack together. Ye Changsheng shouted loudly, and the spiritual light on the demon slaying gun surged. The 9 heavens divine phoenix seemed to understand its master's words, and the flames around it instantly condensed, turning into a fiery red phoenix shadow, lifelike. Ye Changsheng poured all his spiritual power into the demon slaying gun, and the gun burst, as if it could not withstand the violent power at the same time. The phantom of the 9 heavens divine phoenix swooped down and merged perfectly with the demon slaying spear. Demon slaying spear technique. Phoenix sky breaking strike. A bright red light shot into the sky, and the sound of phoenixes was deafening. I saw a huge fire phoenix composed of spearlight and phoenix true fire, with the power to destroy the world, and destroy the world, slamming into the top of the light barrier. Not but Zhao Yunshan's expression changed drastically. Quickly increase the spiritual power output. However, it was too late. Under this terrifying blow, cracks finally appeared in the mask. The cracks spread at an alarming speed and soon spread throughout the entire mask. Boom. With a loud noise, the heavenly spirit entrapment immortal formation shattered. The backlash of the formation swept out, and the 12 Xianling sect disciples who formed the formation spurted out a mouthful of blood at the same time, their faces as pale as paper. Zhao Yunshan also felt uncomfortable. As the leader of the formation, he endured the strongest backlash. At this time, he staggered back, his breath was weak, and he had lost most of his combat power. How is it possible? This is a heavenly spirit trapped immortal formation. Zhao Yunshan looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief. Ye Changsheng sneered. Xianling sect's formations are indeed powerful, but it's a pity that you underestimate me and Jiushan's power. Although this attack broke through the formation, it also consumed Ye Changsheng greatly. But looking at the embarrassed Xianling sect opposite him, he knew that victory was close at hand. The 9 heavens divine phoenix hovered in the sky and let out a majestic cry. The blazing true fire of the phoenix roasted the surrounding air into distortion. Zhao Yunshan looked around and found that all his fellow disciples were injured and had lost their fighting power, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of fear in his heart. He never expected that a little Ye Changsheng could push the elite of their Xianling sect to such an extent. The Xianling sect, have recorded what happened today. Zhao Yunshan gritted his teeth and said, let's go. After saying that, He took out a teleportation talisman and disappeared instantly. When the other disciples of Shinling sect saw that their mastermind had run away, they also used escape techniques to escape, and they were all gone in the blink of an eye. Ye Changsheng breathed a sigh of relief, with a tired smile on his face. Thanks to your help, otherwise I would have been in trouble today. The 9-heaven divine phoenix gently landed on his shoulder, rubbed his cheek with its head, and made an intimate chirping sound. Ye Changsheng didn't stop at all, and immediately led the 9 heavens divine phoenix and the 3-legged fire crows to pursue the remaining white tiger monsters. Although these white tigers who had lost their leader were still ferocious, they were already in a state of panic and disorder. Under Ye Changsheng's thunderous methods, they were quickly killed one by one. He carefully collected every white tiger corpse, which was a rare weapon refining material. The white tiger's fur can be used to refine defensive magic weapons, and its bones are extremely tough and are excellent materials for refining weapons. The demon pills in their bodies contain pure spiritual power, and their flesh and blood are also excellent raw materials for refining bodybuilding pills. After handling the trophies, Ye Changsheng turned his attention to the cave, where the white tigers were entrenched. This is a huge natural rock cave. The entrance of the cave is 3 feet high. The surrounding rock walls are covered with deep claw marks, which are obviously left by the white tigers' daily grinding of their claws. The entrance of the cave is inlaid with several crystal clear spiritual stones, which sparkle with a faint silver light under the sunlight. As you step into the cave, a chill hits you in the face. The interior of the cave is extremely spacious, with countless stalactites hanging from the top like a sword hanging upside down. The ground is covered with a thick layer of animal skin, which must be the place where the white tigers rest. The most eye-catching thing is that there is a natural spiritual spring deep in the cave. The spring water is clear and exudes a faint spiritual aura. No wonder these white tigers choose to settle here. The environment here is really good. Ye Changsheng nodded secretly. With the help of the 9 heavens divine phoenix, he began to search the cave carefully. Soon, surprises followed one after another. On the edge of a rock wall near the spiritual spring, he found a naturally formed medicinal garden. The humid environment and abundant spiritual energy make this a great place for spiritual medicine to grow. This is binks and grass. Ye Changsheng's eyes lit up, and he recognized one of the spiritual medicines that was crystal clear and exuded a chill. This was a 3rd grade high quality spiritual medicine, extremely precious to cultivators who practiced ice attributed techniques. Next to it, a cluster of silver white flowers was blooming, which was the equally rare 3rd grade high quality yuha flower. Going deeper, he found a few purple clouds. This spiritual medicine can be used to refine 3rd grade high quality elixirs to improve cultivation. But these were not the most exciting. Chapter 472 Silver Moon Fairy Fruit Tree. In the depths of the medicine garden, Ye Changsheng discovered 3 4th level elixirs, a red yang zhi that was shaped like a flame, a sun essence plant that exuded a faint golden light, and a snow white plant with every leaf. A drop of crystal dew is condensed on the sky frost lotus. Each of these elixirs is priceless, enough to drive any monk crazy. Oh my god. Ye Changsheng's breathing became rapid, and he couldn't believe his luck. But what really shocked him was what came next. In a small patio at the deepest part of the cave, the sun shines through the gap above, illuminating a small tree about 3 feet tall. This small tree has a light silver color all over its body. Its leaves are as if carved from white jade, and a few immature fruits can be vaguely seen on its branches. This is actually the legendary Silver Moon Fairy Fruit Tree. Ye Changsheng's hands were shaking with excitement. The Silver Moon Immortal Fruit is a 5th level spiritual fruit. It is said that eating one can allow a 5th level Jade Tree Realm monk to break through a major realm without any side effects. This kind of spiritual fruit tree is a treasure that can be encountered, but cannot be sought in the entire world of cultivation. Although the fruits are not yet ripe, as long as they are carefully cultivated, they can be harvested in a few months. After Ye Changsheng carefully inspected it, he thought ecstatically. He immediately took out the jade box that he had prepared and began to carefully collect these elixirs. Each plant must be preserved with a special sealing charm to ensure that their medicinal properties will not be lost. As for the Silver Moon Immortal Fruit Tree, he even used a special spiritual planting bag to transplant it completely. Seeing the harvest in front of him, Ye Changsheng felt extremely happy. This trip not only got rid of the white tiger group on the monster side, but also harvested so many rare elixirs, which can be said to be an unexpected surprise. The Nine Heavens divine phoenix also seemed to feel its master's joy. Rubbing gently on his shoulder and making a sweet chirping sound. Ye Changsheng has been concentrating on mining the spirit stone vein during this period. One day, while he was practicing in the cave, a disciple hurriedly came to report that Xianling Stone Workshop had sent another shopkeeper who wanted to purchase Lingjin ore. Oh, here you go again, eh? Glint flashed in Ye Changsheng's eyes. Ask him to wait in the living room. Not long after, Ye Changsheng came to the living room and saw a middle-aged man with a thin face sitting there drinking tea. Seeing Ye Changsheng come in, the man quickly stood up and saluted. Li Mingguan, the third-class shopkeeper of Lingshifang in Xiashan, has met Senior Ye. Ye Changsheng nodded slightly and said straight to the point, Shopkeeper Li, I have made a new harvest recently. In the process of exterminating monsters, I accidentally discovered some extremely high quality spiritual gold mines. I wonder if your shop is interested? Li Mingguan was overjoyed when he heard this. It is our honor that our seniors are willing to trade with us. I wonder what grade of spiritual gold mine it is. Well, Ye Changsheng smiled, pretending to be mysterious. I'm afraid we need to ask your shop to send a higher level shopkeeper to talk. Li Mingguan understood immediately and said repeatedly, yes, I will go back and report it right now. Then he hurriedly said goodbye and left. Sure enough, early the next morning, Xianling Shifang sent an old man wearing a brocade robe. This person is none other than Zhao Yuanqing, the chief shopkeeper of Xianling Shifang, and his cultivation has reached the late stage of teoting. Fellow Daoist Yi, I have long admired your name, Zhao. Yuanqing raised his hand in greeting. I heard that you have a good spiritual gold mine for sale. Ye Changsheng smiled and took out a piece of crystal clear ore with light blue light. Shopkeeper Zhao, please take a look. This is the 4th grade high grade blue spirit jade ore. Oh my god, Zhao, Yuanqing exclaimed, his hands trembling. It's really the Blueling jade mine. This kind of ore is very rare. All the mineral veins in the Longnan Immortal realm are close to exhaustion and newly mined, or has not appeared on the market for nearly 100 years. Fellow Daoist Yi, where did you come from? Ye Changsheng waved his hand and interrupted. There is no need to ask about the source. Shopkeeper Zhao only needs to tell you the price. Zhao. Yuanqing took a deep breath and pondered. According to the market price, how about 250,000 pacati of low-grade spiritual stones? Too low. Ye Changsheng shook his head. This is the 4th grade top grade, and it is in perfect condition without any impurities. It costs at least 450,000 kilograms. The two of them went back and forth and bargained for a long time and finally settled on 350,000 low-grade spiritual stones pacati. I wonder how much inventory Dao Yi has in hand. Zhao Yuanqing asked tentatively, raising a finger. This number. Ye Changsheng smiled and said nothing. 100 pounds. Ye Changsheng continued to shake his head. Could it be 1,000 pounds? Zhao Yuanqing's voice was a little excited. Shopkeeper, Zhao's guess is still too conservative. Ye Changsheng finally said, to tell you the truth, it's 100,000 kilograms in total. What? Zhao Yuanqing almost jumped up from his chair. 100,000 catis. But, Ye Changsheng nodded. If your company can purchase them all at once, I can give you a preferential price. Zhao Yuanqing nodded repeatedly. This is natural. I will arrange for people to prepare spiritual stones, and the transaction can be completed today. That afternoon, witnessed by both parties, the transaction was successfully completed. Ye Changsheng harvested 3.5 billion low-grade spiritual stones at one time, which is equivalent to 35 million high-grade spiritual stones. This wealth is enough to make many golden elixir stage monks go crazy for it. Looking at the mountains of spiritual stones piled up in the storage bag, Ye Changsheng was secretly happy. Before leaving, Zhao Yuanqing specifically reminded him, Fellow Daoist Ye, if there are such good things in the future, you must think of our Xianling stone shop first. Ye Changsheng agreed with a smile and watched the other party leave. This transaction not only made him a huge fortune, but also established a good relationship with Xianling Stone Shop, which can be said to be killing multiple birds with one stone. At this time, the 12 sons of the Ye family returned one after another and came to report the results of the battle to Ye Changsheng. Seeing that all the sons had won the battle, killed countless third-level monsters, and obtained rich resources for cultivating immortals, Ye Changsheng was very happy. He praised them greatly. Finally, Ye Changyan also returned to the temporary camp and came to Ye Changsheng's temporary cave, reporting to his father in detail the gains of this action and the conflict with Zhao Yunshan, the young master of Xianling sect. When he said that he had cracked the Xianling trap immortal formation of Xianling sect, a trace of surprise flashed in Ye Changsheng's eyes. This Xianling immortal trapping formation is the famous formation of the Xianling sect. Even some Daoting stage cultivators find it difficult to break it. You actually did it. Ye Changsheng looked at his son with admiration. Ye Changyan smiled modestly and said, "It was just luck. The main reason was that the other party underestimated the enemy." As he spoke, he took out a 3-foot-tall silver tree, which exuded a faint moonlight. It was the legendary Silver Moon Immortal Fruit Tree. "Father, this is the Silver Moon Immortal Fruit Tree that I got in that secret realm. I brought it back specially to honor you. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 473 Kinglan Canyon. Ye Changsheng looked at the spiritual tree in front of him in shock, and his heart was filled with turmoil. Silver Moon Immortal Fruit is an extremely precious existence among 5th level spiritual fruits. The most miraculous thing about this fairy fruit is that it can allow monks in the 5th level Jade Tree realm to improve their cultivation by a small level for free. Although each person can only take one in a lifetime, this heaven-defying effect is enough to drive countless monks crazy. Without him, it would be increasingly difficult for monks to advance in the later stages. This kind of spiritual fruit, which can directly elevate a 5th level monk to a higher level, is too precious, which is why the name of this kind of spiritual fruit has the word fairy in it. Good boy, Ye Changsheng looked at Ye Changyan with relief. "If you have anything you want, just say it." Ye Changyan waved his hand. "Father, this is a child's kindness, without asking for anything in return." Ye Changsheng pondered for a moment and said, "Let's do this. When the spiritual land is distributed in the future, I will give you a 4th level spiritual land as the ancestral land of your lineage." Upon hearing this reward, Ye Changyan's eyes suddenly lit up. Although he is only 40 years old this year, he already has 6 children, 2 of whom have Xianling qualifications for a son with a father like Ye Changsheng. Having a 4th level spiritual land as his ancestral land is of great significance. "Thank you, father." Ye Changyan knelt down and thanked him excitedly. After meeting the disciples, Ye Changsheng called Ye Jialan as the most diplomatic person in the family. Ye Jialan has always been the best choice to handle such matters. "Elder Jialan, go and investigate the recent movements of Xianling sect," Ye Changsheng said in a deep voice. "I always feel that things this time are not that simple. Zhao Yunshan has clashed with Changyan again and again, and I'm afraid there is something hidden behind it." Ye Jialan responded respectfully, "Yes, clan leader. I will make arrangements right away. Remember, you must be careful and don't alert the enemy." Ye Changsheng warned, "Xianling sect has a profound foundation, and we cannot confront it head on. Clear?" Ye Jialan bowed and retreated. Looking at Ye Jialan's leaving figure, Ye Changsheng was thoughtful. As a 5th level sect, Xianling sect has always acted in a domineering manner. There must be other motives for targeting the Ye family this time. He must plan ahead and be fully prepared. At this moment, a family disciple hurried over and reported that several suspicious persons were found wandering near the family. Ye Changsheng frowned down. immediately ordered to strengthen the alert, and at the same time, send out secret sentries to closely monitor the movements of these people. After resting in the temporary camp for 3 days, the 13 sons of the Ye family began their journey of hunting monster beasts again. Different from fighting alone before, this time they began to form a team, and aimed at the gathering places of large monsters, after discussing with the 4 brothers Ye Changsheng, Ye Changsheng, and Ye Changwen. Ye Changsheng decided to attack a 4th level spiritual place called Qinglan Canyon. This canyon stretches for dozens of miles, with cliffs on both sides and a vast valley in the middle, where thousands of monsters gather. According to the feedback from the exploring spirit insects I sent, the strength distribution of the monster beasts in this canyon has been figured out. Ye Changsheng unfolded a map condensed with spiritual power and explained it in detail to the 3 brothers. The exploration spirit insect was purchased by Ye Changsheng himself before joining the war. Just for now, due to the impact of the war, most of the high-level spiritual beasts were recruited to join the war. Currently there are only 7 4th level monsters in the canyon, 6 of which are 4th order low grade and 1 is 4th order mid grade. In addition, there are more than 500 3rd order monsters, the rest are all 2nd level monsters. Ye Changsheng frowned and said, although there are not many high level monsters, the number is really shocking. If we attack rashly, I'm afraid it will trigger a wave of monsters. But, Ye Changsheng also expressed concern. Once we are surrounded by thousands of monsters, it will be difficult for us to cope, even if we are strong. Ye Changsheng said confidently, brothers, don't worry, I have already formulated a detailed battle plan. The 4 of us have a total of 8 4th order 3-legged fire crows, which can completely contain the 7 4th order monsters. As for the other, the 323rd order 3-legged fire crows we have, are enough to deal with the monsters, not to mention, Ye Changsheng continued, we also each have a powerful demon pet. My 9 heaven divine phoenix, brother Shengquan's holy light tiger, brother Shengquan's black-tailed spirit fox, and brother Shengqian's 6-winged 3-headed wolf. They are all carefully cultivated 3rd level high-grade monsters with impressive combat capabilities. Ye Changsheng thought for a while and said, if you put it this way, it is not without a chance of winning. The resources in this 4th level spiritual land are extremely rich. If we can win it, it will be a great opportunity for us. After repeated discussions, the 4 brothers finally decided to implement this plan. They chose to launch the raid at noon, when most monsters were resting, and their vigilance was at its lowest point before the action began. Ye Changsheng arranged a concealment formation to completely cover their auras. The 4 of them each sacrificed to level 4 3-legged fire crows, and simultaneously commanded more than 300 level 3 3-legged fire crows to circle high in the sky. Action following Ye Changsheng's order, the 8 4th order 3-legged fire crows were divided into 4 groups and charged directly at the 7 4th order monster beasts. The sudden attack caught these monsters off guard, and they immediately fell into a melee point. At the same time, more than 300 3rd order 3-legged fire crows swooped down like a cloud of fire and launched a frantic bombardment against the group of monsters below. Fireballs fell like raindrops, killing hundreds of 2nd level monsters in an instant. The demon pets of the 4 brothers also showed their magical powers. Ye Changsheng's 9 heaven divine phoenix spread its wings and soared, taking away the lives of several 3rd level demon beasts with every dive. Ye Changsheng's holy light tiger was even more ferocious. It ran rampant among the monster beasts, leaving corpses everywhere in its path. Ye Changsheng's black-tailed fox is good at illusions, creating countless clones to confuse the enemy and plunge the group of monsters into chaos. Ye Changsheng's 6-winged 3-headed wolf is responsible for cutting off the monster beast's retreat and ensuring that no powerful monster beast is allowed to escape. The battle was extremely fierce, and the entire canyon was filled with the roars and screams of monsters. Fireballs kept falling from the sky, and the bodies of monsters were everywhere on the ground. Ye Changsheng holds the demon killing gun and feels like he is in a deserted place among the demonic beasts. The gun body glowed with a faint cold light, and every time it was swung, it would cause a sharp sound of breaking through the air. Ye Chang'an shouted loudly and stabbed a huge 3rd level high grade red flame lion with a demon slaying spear. Wherever the spear tip passed, the air was torn apart, making a harsh whistle point. Although the red flame lion was quite powerful, it still couldn't escape death from the sharp edge of the demon slaying spear, and its huge body fell to the ground however, while killing one monster beast. Several 3rd level monster beasts rushed towards him. Ye Chang'an frowned slightly. Although it was not difficult to deal with these monsters with his strength, there were too many of them. If this continued, too much mana would be consumed. Chapter 474 Mutation. Second. It seems that I have to use that treasure. Ye Chang'an thought to himself, and then took out a bronze god from the storage bag. This is a heaven swallowing good passed to him by Ye Changsheng. It is a top level magic weapon of the 3rd level, and is best at trapping enemies. Swallow. With a light shout from Ye Chang'an, the mouth of the gourd opened, and a strong suction force suddenly burst out. A dozen 3rd level monsters around suddenly lost their balance, and were pulled by this force, to fly towards the mouth of the gourd. In a blink of an eye, these monsters were sucked into the gourd, and screamed miserably. On the other side, Ye Chang'an was also showing his divine power. He held a heavy black iron sword in his hand, and every sword he swung out was with the momentum of splitting mountains and splitting rocks. A peak 3rd level green-eyed golden python wanted to sneak attack, but was split into two by his sword. As the sword energy was crisscrossed, several more monsters fell under his sword. Ye Chang'an seemed more flexible. He was good at body movements, and came and went like the wind among the monsters. The jade fan in his hand seemed gentle, but it was actually full of murderous intent. Every time he fanned it, several sharp wind blades would whistle out, tearing the monsters into pieces. As for Ye Chang'an, his fighting style was the most domineering. He held a thunder axe in each hand, and each strike was accompanied by a deafening thunder. When the two axes crossed, lightning flashed everywhere, smashing the surrounding monsters to pieces. As the battle became more intense, the cooperation of the 4 brothers became more tacit. Ye Chang'an's heaven swallowing gourd continued to harvest the lives of monsters, and it could absorb more than a dozen 3rd level monsters each time. The gourd contained a powerful strangling force, and the monster sucked in would soon be annihilated. Chang'an, be careful behind you. Ye Chang'an suddenly shouted. It turned out that a huge 3rd level peak black armored rhinoceros was rushing from behind Ye Chang'an. Ye Chang'an was well prepared, and dodged the fatal blow with a flash of his body. The demon slaying spear swept out, and hit the vital point of the black armored rhinoceros at the same time. The suction of the heaven swallowing gourd was activated again, and the seriously injured monster was taken into the gourd. The situation on the battlefield gradually became clear. Under the fierce attack of the 4 brothers, the number of 3rd level monsters decreased sharply. The 3-legged fire crows in the sky continued to throw fireballs, killing the monsters that wanted to escape one by one. Try harder. Victory is just around the corner. Ye Chang'an commanded the 3-legged fire crows, while waving the demon-slaying spear, to harvest the lives of the monsters under his control. The heaven swallowing gourd continued to devour the monsters like a bottomless pit. The 4 brothers' monster pets were also exerting their powerful strength. The flames of the 9 sky divine phoenix turned an area into purgatory. The claws of the holy light tiger tore all enemies. The illusion of the black-tailed spirit fox made the monsters kill each other, and the 6-winged 3-headed wolf blocked the retreat of the monsters with a fierce attack. 8 Daoting realm 3-legged fire crows were also fighting fiercely with the opponent's 4th level monsters. After they made contact with each other, they suddenly changed their tactics, swooped down from the sky, and focused their attention on the 7 most difficult 4th level monsters. These 7 monsters were a 4th level inferior golden scale barbarian dragon covered with golden scales, 2 huge 4th level inferior howling moon demon wolves, a 4th level inferior black poisonous python with a pitch black body, a 4th level mid-stage red thorn demon pig covered with spikes, and 2 sturdy 4th level inferior black iron rhinoceros. The 3-legged fire crows circled in the air, forming a perfect encirclement. Their 3 claws were burning with blazing flames, and every time they flapped their wings, they would bring up a scorching air wave. The largest 3-legged fire crow in the lead made a sharp cry, as if sending a signal. To attack point, the golden scale barbarian dragon sensed the danger and let out a deafening roar to the sky. Point, its huge body covered with golden scales twisted violently, and its thick tail swept out, trying to knock down the two nearest three-legged fire crows. However, the fire crows reacted very quickly and easily dodged this fierce attack. Point, the two howling moon demon wolves cooperated tacitly, and their black hair glowed with a faint blue light under the moonlight. Point, suddenly, they all howled at the sky at the same time, releasing a powerful sound wave attack. Point, however, the three-legged fire crows were well prepared, and they were covered with a layer of flame shield around their bodies, which effectively offset the impact of the sound wave. Point, the Zuanming poison python opened its bloody mouth and sprayed a large amount of dark green poisonous mist. Point, this poisonous mist was enough to corrode everything, but the three-legged fire crows immediately displayed their unique fire magic. Point, 8 fire crows sprayed fireballs at the same time, forming a wall of fire in the air, which not only burned the poisonous mist, but also caused severe damage to the Zuanming poison python. In turn, point, the red thorn demon pig chose the most ferocious way to deal with it. Point, the spikes on its body stood up, flashing cold light like countless sharp swords. Then, it actually used the fire magic similar to that of the fire crows, and the spikes on its body ignited strange purple flames. However, this level of flames pales in comparison to the three-legged fire crows. The two black iron rhinos adopted the most conservative tactics, standing back to back to form a defensive posture. Point, their skin is as hard as iron, and ordinary attacks can't break through it at all. Point, but the three-legged fire crows had seen through this long ago, and they began to use the combined attack technique. Point, 8 three-legged fire crows circled in the air, forming a perfect Bagua formation. Point, their flames intertwined in the air, gradually condensing into a huge flame vortex. The vortex turned faster and faster, the temperature rose steadily, and even the air began to distort. Point, realizing that something was wrong, the golden scaled wild dragon immediately sprayed out a golden energy beam in an attempt to break the flame vortex. Point, but it was too late. The flame vortex had taken shape and began to pour downward. Point, the 7 4th level monsters below immediately fell into a precarious situation. Point, just when the 7 4th level monsters were at a disadvantage, an astonishing change suddenly occurred on the battlefield. Point, 5 powerful 4th level auras suddenly erupted from the opponent's group of 3rd level high grade monster beasts, causing the surrounding air to tremble. Point, it turned out to be 5 white foxes whose strength had reached the 4th level low level. They had been hiding among the group of 3rd level high level monsters, perfectly disguised. Point, these white foxes are all white, with cunning light shining in their eyes. Their tails glow with a faint silver light, and every hair contains powerful spiritual power. Monsters like white foxes are naturally good at concealment. They can perfectly control their aura, making it difficult for even monks of the same level to detect it. Point, the 5 white foxes were like ghosts, instantly surrounding Ye Changsheng, who was walking at the front. Their movements are as fast as lightning, and their bodies are erratic, making them difficult to catch. Point, when Ye Changsheng saw this, his expression suddenly became solemn. He immediately put away the sky swallowing gourd and took out the demon slaying gun that already had the 4th level power. The demon slaying spear danced tightly in his hand, and the tip of the spear glowed with a cold light. Chapter 475, Dragon Talisman. However, the cooperation of these 5 white foxes was too tacit, and Ye Changsheng was overwhelmed by their virtual aural attacks. Soon, Ye Changsheng was in a precarious situation, with several blood marks appearing on his body. Point, at this moment, Ye Changsheng suddenly remembered something, and took out a shining golden talisman from his storage bag. Point, this is exactly the dragon talisman that Ye Changsheng gave him before. It contains terrifying power equivalent to the 4th level mid-level, and can be used 7 times. Ye Changsheng did not hesitate to inject spiritual power to activate the talisman. Point, suddenly, a dragon made of condensed golden light roared into the sky, exuding a heart-stopping pressure. Point, one of the white foxes couldn't dodge, and was hit by the dragon's claw, instantly turning into blood mist. Point, seeing the tragic death of their companion, the remaining 4 white foxes became more cautious. They began to adopt guerrilla tactics and launched raids from time to time. Point, Ye Changsheng was looking for opportunities, and finally, in a counter-attack, he used the dragon talisman to kill 2 white foxes in succession. Point, however, the remaining 2 white foxes seemed to have seen through Ye Changsheng's tactics. They suddenly accelerated their speed and arrived in front of Ye Changsheng in a few flashes. Seeing that Ye Changsheng was about to fall into despair, a bright golden red light suddenly pierced the sky. The 9 heavens divine phoenix appeared beside Ye Changsheng at some unknown time. Its whole body exuded a divine light, and its wings spread out to a width of several feet. Ye Changsheng jumped onto the back of Shenfeng, and Shenfeng immediately used the technique of spatial teleportation, taking Ye Changsheng away from the battlefield. But Ye Changsheng didn't give up there. He took out a blood red ball from the storage ring, which was the divine crystal bomb that Ye Changsheng gave him for self-defense. With a wave of his arm, he accurately threw the bomb, which contained the power of destroying the world, and destroying the world, at the location of the 2 white foxes. Boom. After a loud noise that shook the earth, a huge mushroom cloud rose into the sky, and terrifying energy fluctuations swept across several miles. When the smoke and dust dissipated, the 2 white foxes were gone, and even the surrounding monsters suffered heavy casualties. This blow not only completely eliminated the threat of the white fox, but also severely damaged the enemy's overall strength. As the last 2 white foxes were completely annihilated by the divine crystal bomb, the situation on the battlefield changed significantly. The 8 Daoting realm 3-legged fire crows were not idle during this period. They cooperated tacitly and successfully killed 3 4th level monsters. Seeing that the battle was going well, Ye Changsheng immediately rode the 9 heavens divine phoenix to join the battle group. He held the demon slaying gun and used the dragon talisman again. As the golden light flashed, 2 more 4th level monsters fell to his attack, including the red thorned demon pig whose strength had reached the 4th level mid-level. After a fierce fight, the 7 powerful monsters were finally killed. Lying on the ground were a golden scaled wild dragon, 2 moon roaring demon wolves, a black poisonous python, and the corpses of 2 black iron rhinos. These were all 4th level low grade beings. The corpse of the red thorned demon pig was lying in the center, with all the spikes on its body broken. Just when Ye Changsheng and the 8 3-legged fire crows were preparing to collect their loot, an unpleasant burst of laughter suddenly came from a distance. Ha ha ha. Ye Changsheng, I didn't expect you to be so smart. Following the sound, I saw a young man wearing a luxurious robe coming through the air. It was Ye Changsheng, the young master of Xianling sect. There was a playful smile on his face, and his eyes were full of contempt. Ye Changsheng, what do you want to do? Ye Changsheng asked with a frown. Ye Changsheng said proudly, this Qinglan Canyon is my hunting target. I advise you to be wise and leave quickly. Otherwise, I will let the people from Xianling sect take action to snatch your trophies. Ye Changsheng was furious when he heard this. You are committing banditry. Ye Changsheng sneered. Bandit? I just want to recover my losses. In order to encircle and suppress these monsters, I brought more than 10 4th level monks. You can't stop us. However, I can give you a choice. What choice? Ye Changsheng asked warily. Ye Changsheng's eyes fell on the 9 heavens divine phoenix, and a trace of greed flashed in his eyes. It's very simple. You and I fight. If you win, these trophies will be yours. If you lose, this 9 heavens divine phoenix will be mine. Ye Changsheng's heart sank. He looked around and found that the monks from Xianling sect had already surrounded this area. In their current state, they simply cannot fight against the entire Xianling sect. What? Don't you dare to challenge. Ye Changsheng mocked. I can see clearly that you have basically used up all your trump cards. Although the dragon talisman is powerful, it has been used several times. As for the divine crystal bomb, it must be your last trump card. Right. Ye Changsheng suddenly realized that Ye Changsheng had been lurking in the dark for a long time and had a clear view of their battle. This put him in a dilemma. If he refused, he would be besieged by the Xianling sect. If he accepted, he would risk losing the 9 heavens divine phoenix. Just when Ye Changsheng was in a dilemma, his 3 brothers stepped forward one after another. Brother Yun, don't promise him. Ye Changsheng said in a deep voice. This is obviously a trap. Ye Changsheng has been observing in the dark and waits for you to be exhausted before taking action. What a sinister intention. Ye Changsheng also hurriedly dissuaded. That's right. Although their Xianling sect has a large number of people, we are not afraid. Even if you don't accept the duel, we can fight and retreat. This 9 heavens divine phoenix is hard won and must not be gambled easily. Fight. Zhao Yunshan is always treacherous and cunning. He must have a trick up his sleeve. Ye Changsheng's eyes were like torches. Brother Yun, we brothers are united. We can definitely fight our way out. The concern of the 3 brothers warmed Ye Changsheng's heart, but he had made up his mind. 3 brothers, please believe me. Ye Changsheng looked firm and secretly transmitted his voice. Although I did consume a lot of energy, I have confidence in myself. What's more, I have studied Zhao Yunshan for a long time. Although his skills are powerful, his foundation is obviously unstable and there are obvious flaws. I'm confident that I can defeat him. But Ye Changsheng wanted to persuade him again. Ye Changsheng waved his hand and smiled confidently. 22nd brother, I understand your concerns, but I must take this battle. If I retreat here, how can I gain a foothold in the world of cultivation in the future? Besides, I have seen that Zhao Yunshan's condition is not at its peak. This is a rare opportunity. Ye Changsheng sighed. Since the 4th brother has made up his mind, we will lend you a helping hand. If Zhao Yunshan dares to cheat, we will make him pay for it, right? Ye Changsheng clenched the long sword in his hand. The 3 of us will guard the surroundings for you to prevent the people of Xianling sect from attacking secretly. With the support of his 3 brothers, Ye Changsheng was full of strength. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.